coming off. All right, I think we are now live. If I can find the Zoom chat again. There we go. That's what we like to see.
Do we?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to make sure that this appears over here the way it's supposed to. Ah, we are. It's working. Fantastic.
Hooray.
3 weeks in a row, I've actually got this working. Hi, everybody. Ryan over here at Beer on the Wall. Joined, as always, here by Josh. One of these days I'm going to get it. Josh Sisman, employee here at Beer on the Wall. And what is it you do around here, Josh? You sell beer to people, and you do donations, and you plan events. We don't have any events going on right now. That's not legal.
Not a lot of events going on, no. We, if you're still planning for events in the future, we can definitely start the conversation now. But try not to encourage any sort of gathering.
And then below me is Matt Priest, our GM over in Arlington Heights, and employee of almost a year here at Beer on the Wall. That's coming up on June.
Hey guys.
From the movie studio down in his basement. And then our special guest to my diagonal down here is Marty Maloney, the great mayor of Park Ridge.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Who came fresh off of a council meeting. You ran. Did you actually do it from your house, or did you do it from did you have to go to a special office to go do it? Did you have to go into a room?
I did it right from here. It wasn't a Zoom meeting. It was a go-to meeting, so very similar concept. So I did it. Like I said, I changed my shirt from a shirt and tie to my Beer on the Wall hoodie.
Nice.
We always appreciate being branded around here. Josh, what kind of branding are you wearing today?
No brand today. I got just
fired.
Plain and simple. Yeah.
Josh is fired from the show.
Yes.
Fired from the show.
Matt, you're wearing Firestone Walker. I guess that's acceptable. On Mastodon, all right, we'll give you 51% effort today.
That sounds great. They team up with Three Floyds.
Sure.
So
and Dark Matter.
And Dark Matter.
Yeah.
Great coffee stouts.
Is there any breaking news that you can provide from the council meeting, Mr. Mayor?
No, it was actually this is the first meeting we've had virtual still in probably about 3 weeks or so. So it was kind of just resetting, and the big thing is we're passing a budget for next year, but that'll be a week from tonight. So really tonight was kind of just going over everybody touching base. It was we heard from the police chief, fire chief, public works about kind of how they're dealing with all this COVID stuff, and generally the city's kind of handling things pretty well. So really, it's good that there's no breaking news because things are going pretty well here.
A question for you: when you do your meetings via Zoom or GoToMeeting, I sort of find that at least with these types of tastings and stuff, we've done a few online bottle shares. I feel like the conversation actually flows better. Like people are a little more careful about stepping on each other and let me make sure that guy finishes before I start. And I don't know if that applies to council meetings as well, but I've been going to board meetings in my last job where it was getting pretty contentious sometimes and people talking over one another. And
I know Ryan's been to some of our council meetings, so he's seen how we behave. And I would say you're right, because I think people, you pause to wait, to respond till you know the person in front of you, for lack of a better term, is finished speaking. And that doesn't all. Generally, we have a good council. Everybody gets along, and it's kind of pulling in the same direction. But there are times when people are interrupting each other and stuff. So it was a relatively smooth meeting tonight, I would have to say.
Yeah, I was nervous about this technology before I started using it, and then instead I found it to be the opposite of what I thought would be true. It's just that it actually works really great for steering conversations and keeping things organized. It's nice.
And this is not a plug for Zoom, but Zoom is very smart, and it knows that when someone's talking, it basically almost submutes everybody else. It kind of cuts them off as they transition in, which I had heard of, but I hadn't really tested or learned of until last night. We tried to Zoom chat with my mother-in-law and who was up in Minnesota with my sister-in-law, and we couldn't hear anything they were saying because my son was so loud in the background that But Zoom never let them have the conversation. He was just yapping away in the background, and we never heard anything because he just kept taking all the Zoom audio.
That's funny.
Now we'll see. Once we're 3 or 4 beers in, we'll see if the technology can continue to keep us organized.
Yeah.
Conversationally speaking, but yeah, we'll do our best.
It's been so far so good. All right, should we start off with the big boy here?
Let's do it.
I guess they're all 16 ounces except for one. So we'll start with the brewery Keller Helles, which I think is officially at 5.2%, the lowest ABV beer that the brewery does.
Hey, this last week was pretty fun for the brewery. I feel like every time I take a day off, I come back to the store, there's something amazing sitting on the shelf, and there was cans from the brewery of white chocolate. And we've had some of their Baker series stuff in, which is really cool, but man, to have something cool like one of their awesome high ABV barrel aged things just sitting on the shelf in a can. Big fan.
Yeah, they're mostly known for big imperial stouts. Nothing really below 12. Every once in a while, you'll see something like around 9 or 10 at a very respectable 9 or 10. But yeah, most of their stuff is pretty unapologetically around 12%. Huge barrel aging program. They do a fair amount of sours through their Tarot side brand,
really good sours,
as well as some IPAs through their IPA brand called Offshoot. But this is definitely one of the lowest ABV beers and probably one of the cleanest beers that I've seen from them as well.
It's insanely clean, yeah.
But for for Keller and for a Pils, like that's the kind of head you want to see. I've been yammering on here for about 30 seconds, and this head is just
still there,
sticking around. It's not moving.
It's great,
Got bubbles coming up from the bottom. Look at that. You can even see those bubbles coming up. Beautiful. It looks like a lava lamp in there.
It's a good way to
good beer name, actually.
Look at the lava lamp in this.
Lava lamp is. Just don't make them weird colors. Let's not do that.
Oh, you want me to get Fizzle Drizzle out?
Fizzle Drizzle or Swansaleer.
Oh, right.
Fizzle straight up blue.
Yeah.
Fizzle, yeah, it has blue.
It's got a blue-green algae in there, right?
Yes, some blue spalima. Sorry. Spirulina. Thank you.
Someone's been studying.
All I did was study the last bottle share where we talked about it.
Yeah, it's good.
And I was the one giving all the information. Matt just stole it from me.
I forgot, but I think I missed the first part of that. I don't think I heard what beer we were talking about. I just heard the spirulina.
Oh, Maplewood. Fizzle Drizzle. They did a blue raz. Fizzle Drizzle.
Sorry, I heard it this time. I didn't hear it the other night when it came up and spirulina was being discussed. I just caught the spirulina part and then connected the two and just brought it up out of nowhere.
Hey, Ryan, when was the last bottle share you guys had? I know with all this going on, you guys haven't been able to do it. But when was the last one you guys had?
Our last bottle share was March 10th.
Okay, so right before.
Yeah. So because St. Patrick, we were gonna not hold the bottle share on the 17th because we were gonna do our Saint Rosé Day, which was a sampling of 20 different rosés, an alternative to St. Patrick's Day. But then, of course, on the 16th was when the day that the shelter in place began. So we never got to do that event, and we canceled the bottle share for that Tuesday, and haven't done one since. We've been this has kind of taken over our bottle share. Just people drinking safely from their homes, but it also is a little bit more organized. We don't have as many people talking and chatting as we do, and they have to listen to me the whole time, which they don't have to do with the bottle share.
Yeah, the bottle shares have been fun. For those that don't know, it was a monthly experience, and then we changed it to weekly just because it's a little more fun, a little less of a big to-do and like a big showing to just bring something fun, something new, something fresh, something you want to drink out of your cellar, and you don't have to save up all month for the big hoopla, and then everyone's taking Uber home. Keep it a little simpler on a weekly basis. So we're looking forward to doing that again, but this is definitely a nice way to do it too. A little more curated, a little less barrel-aged stouts every other round.
That's all right. You can bring a Keller Helles to a bottle share. And if you're not familiar with Keller simply just means that it's usually aged longer. It's a lager that's aged a little bit longer. It also means that it's usually unfermented.
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered. Thank you, Josh. All right, you're rehired. Unfiltered, so you tend to have a little bit more of a bready yeast character than you would from normal light lager.
Definitely getting that.
Yeah, for sure. This kind of just tastes like somebody just baked bread in the house. And
yeah, it's pretty malty. It's nice though.
And fairly
sweet
too.
It's almost deceptively clear. I mean, like you said, it's so clear, but it's like got some body to it.
You could definitely fool a macro drinker with something like this. I mean, we had High Life on draft in March because we were doing some fundraising after the shooting event up there in Milwaukee, and man, it was just amazing to pour that out every time you have a crystal clear. And it's just fun to see a craft version doing the same thing. But the flavor profile is big. It's not drinking water.
It's funny you say that, Josh, because I think, and I'm relatively certain comfortable I can kind of make fun of my dad because he's probably not watching. But when he comes
We'll send him the link later.
I definitely texted him. He should be here.
Well, when he comes over to the house, he's always like, "What beer?" When he's looking through the fridge, he's like, "What beer of yours should I drink?" Because he's not a bitter guy. He's on an IP. So
Sure.
as I was tasting it, I thought this would be one I could give it to my dad.
Yeah.
And it'd be totally good. Because it's good, but it's not the way you said it was better than the way I'm saying it.
It's simple. We all need a simple beer where there's not too much to think about. But if we are diving in here, there's so much good things to say about it, and I just keep going back to it. Super clean, super crisp.
It definitely has a very German characteristic to it.
Yeah, it just smells like Germany, man.
Yeah, it smells like walking into a pub in Germany where you have just like these really big 5% is probably pretty big for a German beer, but just like this nice bready stout, like a little bit of a floral, like grassy meadow note in the nose, but it's mostly just a big old pile of bread in the glass.
And I think it was Nick at Beer on the Wall who told me that Keller beer translates to cellar beer.
It does, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's aged a little longer and it's unfiltered, so the yeast is kind of still doing some work. They tend to leave them a little sweeter, so yeast continues to process through that, and they do tend to have a little higher ABV. But this is also croissant. Croissant, Matt Priest. You're a big fan of that. You're a big fan of that word. You used to watch the Budweiser commercials that used to say that all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
And that
fully croissant.
Totally croissant. There's no way on this planet that Bud Light is croissant. By the way, that's just not happening. Croissanting is a process where you skim during fermentation. You can skim the yeast off the top, the top of while the beer is bubbling and going. You kind of skim what's off the top of it. You take that and you put it into a container and say, okay, I'm going to use that for the next time. So you're basically using yeast from a previous batch and dumping it into a new batch of beer. So you're kind of just reusing the same yeast, kind of like you would do with like a sourdough starter.
The reason that they would advertise it is because somehow it suggests that there's going to be just that much more clarity, right?
Yeah,
it's like another type of filtering, right?
More consistency, more. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the marketing behind it is, but the idea is it's cheap. You don't have to buy new yeast packs and new yeast packs.
That can't be what they're getting at.
No, of course they would never tell you about how effective their process is or anything like that. It's usually because it's just more quality control. It gives you more consistent flavor from batch to batch. You do have to keep an eye on things because eventually your yeast is going to drift and start showing some off flavors. So once that's time, then it's time to stop croissanting that yeast and just let nature take its course. Find yourself a new brick of yeast or some new young yeast to ferment your beer. But that's essentially what croissanting is.
But you feel like there's no way they do it, or there's no way they've ever done it.
I don't think so. I mean, when you're building on that kind of scale, maybe when in the 50s or 60s when they were a little smaller, they might have, or there might have been some special batches. But I mean, when you're brewing as much volume as they are, I guess you can take a teaspoon and just
a little bit,
take something off the thing and just dump it into the next batch and be like, croissant.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
And count it.
Count it.
See, and I'm learning stuff now. I'm just taking notes here because I always thought Croissant was what I was going to be at the end of this.
Well, so I was just going to say, I just looked this up here. Urban Dictionary, Mayor's got it right. I'd never heard this before. Fully croissant means you're basically just, you're tanked.
It officially refers to old style? Okay, old style once refers to itself as fully croissant. And now that term is, okay, it was old style, not Bud Light.
It's a synonym for drunk.
Love it.
That's really funny.
Just throw that in there with pissed, like when you're outside of America, it's just pissed. I'd agree. Just real drunk.
I can't even
Brian, this says this is a whole different, not a whole different, but this is kind of a different description. I don't know if this is true or not, but it says that here it says naturally carbonating a beer by adding a little fresh fermenting beer to the finished product and then letting it finish out in an airtight environment so that the CO2 which is produced is absorbed into the liquid.
Yeah, that's a secondary fermentation. It's essentially leaving the yeast behind so you can let it do its secondary fermentation, like you would for a Keller beer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Brian, when you say it's aged a little longer,
I just say it a lot nicer.
When you say it's aged a little longer, I wanted to joke about, is it 6 months or 9 months or whatever? But is that like a couple more hours or is it like another day?
It's a condition for the same amount of time usually for fermentation, but when it's packaged, as Matt's saying, they typically will leave it in the can or the bottle or its final vessel, like a keg, for a little bit longer to let the yeast kind of do some secondary fermentation inside. Okay. And then they'll ship it off. Almost kind of like you do that mostly with like spontaneous and wild ales.
Sours, yeah.
Where you're letting some
style
secondary...
is not croissant any longer.
The Keller beer?
Yeah, old style.
Old style, yeah.
Old style. However, Anchor Steam is. Fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
And I've been to Anchor Steam, and it's surprisingly small for what kind of volume you think would come out of there.
No kidding. Really? Anchor Steam is fun one. We should talk about that. It's one of those not any style, kind of makes its own style.
Yeah, it is.
California Common.
California Common. We could do a show on California Common, Kolsch, Cream Ale, and Blonde Ale, and nobody would know the difference.
We should do that. That's a good summer show right there.
And once the show get taken off.
Right. We will go from exactly 25 viewers down to 3 viewers.
Right. 3 viewers that are all Cicerones.
My phone word.
Let's do it now while people are, captive in their own homes.
Yeah, we got to write
this.
We have no choice but to watch.
Right. Just cannot wait to hear more about them cream ales.
It'll be right after the non-alcoholic show.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good one.
I think we'll need one of those after all this ends. Just
like a non-alcoholic show?
Yeah, I need to work out, take a break.
Well, Josh knows as well as I do. Like we have been churning out like an obscene amount of non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah, it's great, and it all tastes good. Well-Being is a phenomenal brewery, and we got stocked up, and I'm glad we did because they make great stuff, and it's
how does it taste? I'm sorry, Josh.
It tastes great.
Does it?
That's what I'm saying. Is like, I can't speak for every. I like to say this a lot, but like everyone likes different things. But what I like about Well-Being, my favorite one from them, they basically kind of made a wheat ale and added some citrus on top, just a little orange juice. And it does. I mean, this flavor profile is very similar to like a blue with an orange, which people absolutely love. And we are talking about non-alcoholic, and flavor is almost always the defining factor there. But they also make an amber and a coffee cream ale, and then they do just make like a unflavored golden wheat.
It's got electrolytes. It's like the Gatorade of beer.
Right. Yeah, the one I was talking about with the orange. It's like. I mean, obviously, it's an easy market to gear towards athletes that are trying to enjoy themselves and not destroy their routine. But yeah, they literally were like, no, it's the Gatorade of non-alcoholic beer. It's kind of right there, and it tastes great. So yeah.
Yeah, but
hey, Ryan, can I ask at the risk of getting booted off the show, although I'm in one of the grids, so maybe you won't do it right now, but I might be bringing that back. Can I ask a non-beer question to the three of you guys?
Absolutely.
I'm curious how you guys are doing during all this. I know meetings and whatever. But just how are you guys holding up?
I mean, I think for us, it's a question of like, we're real busy. I mean, we're real busy. We're getting orders in. We're filling orders. We're getting them out the door. I think it's just a very different kind of busy. You know, we're used to trying to get all this product in, and our focus the last month has been very different than what it is previous to that. You know, it was just trying to find the hottest beers and like, you know, how can we leverage this to get that, and like what's coming down the line, and like, you know, let's try this before they bring it in, and can we sell 5 cases of that? Like, you know, a lot of decisions that are being made about just general operations. And then the last month or so, it's how are we going to sell beer if we can't be open? So, you know, taking a couple days and, you know, moving the store to an entire e-commerce website, and you know, converting our bar into basically now is just kind of a glorified call center where we have like one person on phones, one person on orders, 2 people picking orders. It's been fun for me as a former like physicist and industrial engineer to kind of like see the process and like come up with a new process and be like, here's the workflow of this. But at the same time too, like we have revenues coming in, and you know, we're covering our bills and that kind of stuff. So we're very lucky in that regard. We're very thankful to all of Park Ridge for keeping us in business. But without the draft lines and without a lot of the, you know, kind of velocity that we usually do, like we're not making any money. You know, we're kind of just treading water, which is fine. We can tread water for a little while, but we do want to see things eventually kind of get lifted, but we also want people to be safe. So, like I said, we're fine treading water for now, and as long as it means that later on in a couple months that we're going to be back full time and everyone's going to be safe and healthy, then, you know, we want you to drink later rather than drink now and get sick, and then we don't have anybody for you to come back to. It's kind of our thought process. But so yeah, long story short, it's been a very different sort of busy. It's just been a lot of creation, imagination, and pivoting, and you know, not the usual sort of intellectual challenge and like trying to just negotiate relationships kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
how about you, Mayor? How about you? How do you like? To what degree do you feel like you're responsible for taking care of the people of Park Ridge, and then to what degree do you feel like you can turn it over, say, to the governor, you know, and look to him for, you know, for guidance, or, you know, and how much do you feel like you're on your own? And
well, you know, I mean, I think the governor, you know, at the risk of, you know, I think the governor's done a good job. I really think he's given pretty clear direction, and from my perspective, that's something that I can kind of turn to the people of Park Ridge and say, look, this is what we're going to, you know, this is, you know, for the city of Park Ridge, we don't have a public health department, like in terms, you know, we have like health inspectors that come out and inspect restaurants and you know, that type of thing. We don't have a public health department, so we rely on Cook County, we rely on the state of Illinois, and they've been very good. I've been on more conference calls in terms of getting information from the state, from the county, from the city. You know, even, you know, again, everybody rolls their eyes at the city of Chicago, but being close to them, they've been able to provide us information and some kind of clear direction about what we should be doing, shouldn't be doing. I think the people of Park Ridge have been fantastic, just in terms of how they've rallied. You know, I've heard anecdotally, that's why I asked you guys a question, how people have come out to support our local businesses as best they can. So that's encouraging. And I just am trying to stay, you know, kind of be the conduit from our city staff to the people out in the community to provide information. I think our staff's done a really good job of trying to continue operations. You know, one example is like property transfers. You know, when somebody sells their home and you know, there's a transfer stamp that's required from the city. And I know early on there was some concern about, are we going to provide those? Some communities weren't, but we made the decision that we'd continue to provide them. Take a little bit longer, a couple, you know, a few days, maybe a week longer than it normally did. But we're still doing that kind of stuff. So it's been important for our staff to try and provide those services. So it's been great. You know, again, I mean, this is a terrible situation, and none of us here, none of us anywhere have signed up for any of this stuff, right? But I think I'm really proud to have the staff to be able to take credit for the hard work that staff is doing. I mean, you know, and I think the city's responded. And you know, again, I know we we've had our ups and downs with people who haven't stayed at home, and we get reports of when the weather gets nice, kids congregate in parks and all that stuff. But I think generally speaking, everybody's doing everybody's following social distancing, staying at home for the most part. I think we're all doing a good job. We have to stay at it, and hopefully we'll be out of this sooner rather than later. But I think things are good. But again, I share your concern. I'm with you, Ryan. I look forward to a day when we're all sitting enjoying a beer,
drinking glasses.
Right. Yeah. And all of us well, and I'll take 2 to 3 months of treading water if it means that long term, we can all meet up and have said beer,
yes.
rather than meet up and have said beer and then some of us don't make it to the end.
Right.
Well, I agree. That's the reality.
But positive signs in Illinois, so that's what I like to see, and
seems to be working.
it's not so bad. I get to drink and talk on
we'll
YouTube these days.
We'll get there. We'll all get through it.
Yeah, the internet's flourishing with innovation and hilarious things. And, it was funny. The last thing I saw was like in 1920, we lifted what was it? Prohibition ended, and then in 2020, liquor became essential. So let's see what another 100 years is like. That's good.
I was sitting in a chair watching the governor be like, "Oh God, please let alcohol be essential, please."
You know it is.
And sure enough, the Craft Brewers Guild has kind of been our governor, just sending out a lot of really good information. And like I said, usually an hour before things are released, they're like, "Here's what's about to happen. Here's what it means for you." And I don't know, like, so when this happens, like, are all the mayors on just like, is it like all the mayors of Illinois just on one giant Zoom call, and like the governor's just like has the spotlight and he's got a screen share? Like, how does that work?
So well, all right, it's just the four of us, right? We're in this
and there's like 2,000 people watching on Facebook. Slight exaggeration.
So early on in this process, I was on a conference call. So the city of Park Ridge is a part of, there's like different groups. There's like the Illinois Municipal League, which is a group of all the cities in the state. We're part of Northwest Municipal Conference, different associations and groups and lobbying organizations that we're a part of. So I think it was Illinois, the IML was hosting a conference call it was the Metropolitan Mayors Caucus. So it was like mayors from all over the state, and it was very early on. There were probably 500 mayors on this call. Mayors and city managers and then that kind of stuff. So it wasn't all mayors.
But an audio call?
What's that?
Audio call or a video call?
Yes. Yeah, it was an audio call. Oh, thank God it wasn't a Zoom call.
That would have been quite a grid.
Oh, man. Well, the point of the story, so, and the people running the call, they were doing their level best to make it work. And it was, they're just trying to push as much information out. It was a Sunday night, but it was as if half the people on the call had never been on a conference call before. People weren't muting. The echo was like just crazy. It was giving me vertigo. The echo was giving me vertigo. Oh my God. Because it was just, you would hear barking dogs and somebody, yelling to their spouse and somebody's kids bark. It was the worst of the worst of every conference call I've ever been on for work in my entire life. It was
500 bar. Yeah.
It was so. Yeah, but there are those, and they've gotten better, and because everybody's figured out, okay, you have to mute when you come on the call, or they mute you before you even come on the call.
Right.
You send questions electronically, but so yeah, there are probably 2 of those a week. Either IML does one, Metropolitan Mayors Caucus does one, Northwest Municipal Conference. We all kind of work together. Tony Preckwinkle does one for for Cook County. She hosts a call. There's that's and Ryan, you said it. Usually when something major is about to happen, we have a little bit of a heads up about it. Know what's coming. So, but it's good. And my attitude is I'd rather have more access to information than less. So I'm trying to attend everyone I can because I want to turn that around and share that with town, right? So I can share it with people. Again, I'll tell you, everything I know, I'll let you know. So the challenges that I've found is how to get in touch with people who aren't on social media, right? So
Sure, totally.
I can push stuff out on Facebook. I can push it out on Instagram for myself. City does the same thing. City's got an email blast. They do text messaging. But, like, we know there is a pretty decent segment of the population that's not on it, not in any of those places, not in any of those environments. So the challenge is how to get a hold of those folks and get them information they need.
And do they end up doing phone calls, or is it like you have to print stuff out and do mail, drop it off at people's houses?
We haven't done mailings. We do have the ability to do it's like a reverse 911 system where you kind of push a button and the message goes out. We try and save that for true emergencies, but
Sure.
We do have that ability. We're trying to update the website as much as we can because even there's a lot of people. I won't say everybody, but more people have access to the internet than are on Facebook, right? So even if somebody's not getting social media, they can still access the city's website. And we're trying to
Get an email or something. Yeah.
An email as well, right? Email and text. So it's not perfect, and there's probably a lot we can do going forward in terms of how we kind of reach that segment of the population that we're not reaching. And a lot of it is even via social media, asking people to, if
Talk
you
to
think
people.
your neighbor might not be on Facebook
Sure.
or Instagram, to go talk to them and tell them what's going on, or at least not even talk to them because now we can't even do that, right? You
Yeah.
can't, but at least just check on them, phone call, drop a note in their mailbox, that kind of thing. And again, like, this town is awesome. I'm always humbled by the way this town responds to different things, and it's happening again. It's happening all over. People are
That's a good reminder though, because a lot of us, especially people in this group who are always on social media and stuff, it's like I feel like I'm over-informed in a lot of cases, but you forget that there's a whole bunch of people who just aren't doing that stuff. You know what I mean? So that's a good reminder.
Yeah, I'm getting.
All right, Ryan, we should do the next beer. Sorry.
We should move on to the next beer.
Sorry.
But I do want to say, there is a lot of noise out there too. I mean, I'm getting like, has your business filed for loans from my rag and mat company? And I'm like, I don't know what you have to provide for me. Like, I'm talking to banks and like other financial institutes. I'm not exactly sure what the point of this is. But yeah, we'll move on to.
Speaking of wits,
Speaking of wits.
The record, I thought that beer was
good
cool. I really
segue.
like that beer.
That's a
I like
good
that last
segue.
beer.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
yeah, wrapping up. Another
It's
good
not a
lager.
surprise. Brewery's always good, but I'm just saying it was good.
Yeah, that was really good. That
Cold
first
can.
one was excellent. I really liked it.
And then I have to say too, Park Ridge has probably the most people out walking of any other town I've driven through in my very
Really, you
short.
think so?
It has to be, and I come down Prospect, so I think Prospect is very much like a walking zone. But I see, I mean, everyone's socially distanced, and family units are moving like the way they're supposed to. But I come down Prospect, and I see. I can't imagine. I have no idea what number it would be, but I see almost every block there's like 4 or 5 people or family units like out for walks, walking a dog, walking a kid with a stroller, on rollerblades, on bikes, like people in the bike lanes and people on the sidewalks, like all converging and moving around.
It would be pretty awesome if something to come out of this was the amount of people that are out walking and riding their bikes. And I know we're all keeping our social distance now, but it'd be great after this if that all continues, right? I know we'll go back to our lives, but it'd be nice if that continued.
I think it will. I mean, I think people are, there's a lot of jokes about the weather. Obviously it's a little cold right now, but we got some great spurts of awesome weather and a lot of jokes about how, now that we're locked in, of course it's not snowing in April like it was last year or the year before, whenever that was, stuff like that. But I think the appreciation for the outdoors and the family time and all that is a big plus out of all this. And, I'd be surprised if people weren't engaging in that after all this. It's gonna feel good, especially when the summer hits and things start opening back up. And I was just thinking about like outdoor patios and stuff. Like, it's gonna be a good time.
You can't say that this whole event hasn't, if nothing else, refocused us on what's important. That's great. We certainly need that every once in a while. I'm not saying it's a trade-off, but
No,
hopefully that's a nice byproduct of all this, and along with people maybe
Washing their hands more
keeping
often?
their hands
Yes.
clean.
Wash
That'd be good.
fucking hands.
Another good habit.
Yeah, keeping that one, and just in general, taking sickness a little more seriously. People, I know a lot of people can't afford to skip work when they're sick, but you know what I mean. It's just like when I was younger, I didn't care about it, and I was one of those. I was that type of person who just went wherever when I was sick. But as I get older, it's like, and I have a family, I'm like, oh, please, if you're sick, please, just like stay home, and
Totally.
I don't know. That'd be better if we got better about that as a people.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It's a bigger picture than just you. If you're out, everything you touch and interact with can chain off to other people that it will affect.
Especially at beer festivals where we're sharing upwards of 40 sips of beer with groups of 10.
Oh yeah, just sharing. Oh, here, try this, try that. It's like sharing beers with 6 other people.
Yeah.
Now, but
It's a
Marty,
nightmare.
as a person who has a city that has things that are done like by paper and also done by electronically, like are there a lot of things that you're doing now that you're adapting for electronically, like working from home or anything like that you think, well, it's like, hey, this actually worked really great when we were doing it electronically. Let's keep this process in place.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I'm just saying, like I'm finding a lot more now where a lot of companies and a lot of like places like us where we kind of just thrive on people walking in the door and saying hi and like interaction and doing things face to face with things. Do you think your office, now that you're having to do more virtual things, where you're doing more like submitting things virtually or submitting things electronically, that you'll do more electronic processing, or those things will kind of go by the wayside?
We were trying to move to that. Honestly, we were trying to move to that even before all this happened. The city's been. I would never say we were on the bleeding edge of technology. We were always probably a little bit behind that. So we were kind of recently moving in that direction where people can do more online than they have been able to. Pay water bills. Check on permit status, things like that. Now you can do that. Even before all this, we were headed that way. But certainly, there's been a push towards that. I'd be shocked if that didn't continue beyond this. I know we've had staff kind of working staggered shifts, almost with the exception of public safety, almost in every department, right? Like where half the department will be home, and then they'll come back, and that in order to try and keep everybody healthy. So it'll be, once we're all said and done, we're through this. We'll get to fully staffed buildings and facilities and that kind of stuff. But I do think there'll be lasting impacts from all of this for sure.
And that
have you guys seen beer festivals? I would imagine like stuff like Dark Lord Days have been pushed or canceled outright, or things like. I know that's a spring festival. Are you seeing that stretch into the summer as well?
We haven't really heard too much about specific festivals, right? Not yet. I mean,
Great Taste of the
Great
Midwest.
Taste of the Midwest is a huge one. That's in August. That's still up and running right now. They put tickets on sale recently, I think. But that's not till August. I don't know about the local ones. Didn't Dark Lord Day? What did they say about Dark Lord Day? They pushed it back.
They canceled it. They don't have a reschedule.
They canceled it altogether.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it got postponed, but like date TBD or something. I didn't hear it got canceled.
I'm sure they might do. I mean, they have a batch of Dark Lord in a bottle, so they're either going to have to sell it, like find some way of selling it, or they're going to have to like push the festival to December or something like that. But that's a disgusting festival to begin with. I don't even know if even if that wasn't December, I don't know if I'm ready to go.
They're just looking for the worst weather. They really need found it this time.
Right? Yeah.
December 19th.
Yeah, right, for sure. I know I've been out there in the pouring rain.
They'll sell out.
Oh, every year it's 7 times out of 10. It's just the worst weather ever for a beer festival.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I'm just going back to to Matt's point. He was saying, are people going to take more sick time? Are people going to stay out of the office more? And I think I would love to see one more thing that comes out of this is just, for my wife and all my friends who are working in a corporate job, where it's to say like, hey, listen, people of these offices, like you can do a lot of this stuff from home, and if you're sick, please just stay home and don't get everybody else sick. We've moved a lot of processes to being online, and you can take 2 days at home and work from home and be productive. We learned that during this outbreak. So
and a lot of people feel that way. Like I think a lot of people feel like their coworkers feel that way, but a lot of times I think they feel like their bosses don't. Like the bosses feel like, no, I need you there. You know what I mean? But it's like if you were to ask everybody else who works there apart from the boss, they'd say, please stay home when you're sick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
very true.
Yeah.
All right. How about this beer?
Well, we went from Germany to Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
Only a week ago, I took a walk through the Bubblegum Gardens.
Ooh.
But I already forgot what beer that was, but I feel like I'm doing it again.
Yeah, you're right. This is right big back to Big League Chew land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool beer. So this is Urban Renewal. They're in Chicago, Ravenswood area. Not too far from me, maybe a little bit that way. From what I've heard, sweet tap room. Been meaning to go there, but they've been cranking out some good stuff. I think we sold straight out of was it Hazy River?
Yep.
Yeah, right. Hazy River.
Hazy River, little play on Lazy River. They've been making some really nice Belgian style, some good saisons.
I just got that pun right now.
Oh, welcome, Dad.
Wait, but Lazy River is also one of their beers. Lazy River.
Yeah,
is
Lazy
their
River's
Hoppy
like a.
Blonde.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know
They're
that was
hoppy-
one of their beers.
Hoppy Blonde Ale. I think.
Yeah, that's like the quintessential summer beer. That beer's awesome.
We asked him. We said, "Oh, is the Hazy River just sort of the hazy version?" That's like, "No, it's a whole different recipe, and that's confusing, and we're probably going to stop making Lazy River." Even though Lazy River's real good.
Lazy River's real good. They should just rename it.
This beer is none of the ingredients, the grapefruit or the peppercorn, like it's not subtle. There's like a fair amount of those things in here. You get all those flavors. It's pretty in your face.
And this is one where this is a
For a Wit Beer.
collaboration with the Pink Boot Society, and the Pink Boot Society is it's an organization that tries to empower women to assist, inspire, and encourage women beer professionals through education. So I think this is probably brewed for International Women's Day.
Nice.
Sort of like Drippin' So Much Sauce for Microphone and a lot of the other ones that just came out recently. So this is an all-lady brew as well.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it's good. It's just got big, bold flavors for a wit beer. I mean, I'm definitely getting peppercorns. I'm definitely getting grapefruit. I'm probably getting coriander, but I don't know if I know what coriander tastes like. I think if you were asking me what coriander tastes like, I'd say it tastes like a wit beer. So that doesn't really tell you anything. I mean, what is
It's pretty
coriander? What do we put coriander in?
So, coriander is synonymous with cilantro, I believe.
It's a seed of cilantro.
Seed, right?
It's the seed of cilantro.
Yep.
Right.
I just had a big bit of coriander for lunch.
There you go. Just that?
Yeah, for sure.
And then are some people
You
sort
can
of
go
like
to grocery stores. Just be careful.
are some people sort of genealogically wired to have a strong distaste for coriander, like some folks are with
Sure.
cilantro? Chromosomally.
Whoa.
That's not a word. What do we put it in? What do we put coriander in? You know?
It's a lot. It's popular in a lot of like Indian spice blends.
It's like Greek too.
Yeah, Greek, Mediterranean blends. You see it a lot in. I'd say a lot of breakfast foods that have coriander. It always has like a very like citrus peel sort of like note to me, at least. Has like
It's
a little bit of an
definitely
orange
citrusy,
note
It's
to it.
definitely peppery. It's
Yeah,
pretty
your
sweet
homework
too.
for the week is to chew on some coriander. Go find some.
Do that right now. Here, let me go see the lemonade.
Oh wow, there
He's
he
gonna
goes.
go. He's gonna go have Instacart bring him a thing of.
I might need to
coriander.
do it too. So I'll be honest. So of all the styles of beer, I do feel bad about this when people ask and they're like, "Got any good wit beers?" And I was like, I don't know. They're not my thing. Like they're not what I'm reaching for. But I also still enjoy dipping into them because I used to say that about Hefeweizens too. And last summer I really turned the corner on them. Your palate's always changing, and you just never know when something's going to hit you right, if you're in the right mood. Oh yeah, that's the stuff.
Wow, that's impressive.
You actually had some?
Yeah. Listen,
nice.
You gotta have some in the cabinet.
we do a lot of
Wait, I'm
planning,
gonna join you.
a lot of big
It's gonna take
dreaming
a second.
of big recipes, and then not, and then you buy something for a recipe once, and we don't maybe cook as much as we should, and so we buy something thinking we're gonna use it in one thing, and we do, and then the rest of it just sits there for a while. Let's check the date on this. September
Checking-
6, 2019.
Checking the freshness
knew
of
it.
our.
That's not terrible though.
No, it's not terrible, but I knew it wasn't gonna still be good. Let's see how this is.
Those dates are just suggestions, anyways.
You're right.
I am not going to go check my spice cabinet because I guarantee you it's not in there.
That's what's great. We have like 50 different spices, but I mean, Ryan will tell you we don't cook that much. We don't have a lot because we cook a lot. We have a lot because we have big ideas, and then nothing.
The one time a year you need it for like a chili that you're making. And also, I'm so sorry.
Exactly.
I totally forgot about the Facebook chat and the YouTube chat, and I just realized it's happening, and I am so far behind. Everyone is having beer fests in their house. People pointing out Smells Like a Beer Fest was canceled. We did change beers. I did not change the thing. I'm sorry, Jim. Josh is not going to shotgun a beer tonight.
Yeah, I was going to hire, but there's always nightcap hour, you know.
There is the nightcap. If you want to stick around, we'll do our usual cuvee and nightcap. But
I won't disappoint. I'll tell you what. Next week I won't disappoint.
Oh boy, those are big talking words right there.
Big words, yeah. So Ryan, take it easy on the picks.
Take it easy on the what?
On the picks. Everything's got to be under 8%.
All right. I mean, this is going to be the easiest you're going to get. Even our pastry stout's only 9%.
Hey.
This is a softball. This is as easy as it's going to get for you.
I bought one of those today, without knowing it was going to be in our 4-pack today. I bought one of those. I bought the beer that we're having later today.
See, I thought you bought it on purpose.
You're going to double dip. It's good.
Because I needed 2 of them to really get a taste for
it.
Well,
I thought because you said you just got recently, as one of the things that's happened to you out of this is you've got your neighbors now involved in craft beer, and they're.
I did, but I bought it. I mean, those guys wanted them too, but I also got one for myself.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's just funny. I picked up a 4-pack and bought that beer. I was like, oh, the point is that beer sounded good to me already, so I was excited about that one.
So Matt, what's your coriander analysis? Because I got some ground coriander from Spice House.
It's kind of boring, honestly.
I get.
It's more aromatic than it is like any flavor. It's a very aromatic spice.
Yeah, I would say it's all on the nose, and the citrus is there. Like it's definitely a very bright.
Citrus, you smell this? Man.
Is yours ground? Because mine's ground.
Yeah, mine isn't like a fine powder.
Yeah, mine's ground.
It definitely smells more than it tastes.
It's definitely going to be more Indian cuisines like curry and stuff like that. But it pairs well with the flavor profile for a wit. Ryan, aren't wits the ones the style of beer? There's a good discussion about putting fruit in beer. Wits the ones where you can throw a lemon in there?
Usually you put a lemon. You usually put a lemon in a. You can put it in a Weiss beer, or you probably put it in a wit. I mean, Hogarden is kind of the quintessential. You got a Franziskaner glass there, nice.
I should have done that.
Like Hogarden would be like your traditional most popular wit beer. I can go grab one just so people can see it. Some people are mentioning Coronado's Orange Avenue Wit. That's like I said, I think that's playing off of orange character from the Coriander, as well as orange peel is a very popular thing as well.
I was gonna say orange peel is in a lot of wits. It's not just suggested, like it's often in there.
Right.
In this case, they actually put grapefruit in there. It doesn't say grapefruit zest or grapefruit rind. It says straight up grapefruit.
People are also suggesting that Matt and Josh do a coriander challenge or light it on fire, either one. So.
You gotta get a spoon, Matt.
A full tablespoon and see if you can swallow it.
Listen, I've done the cinnamon challenge. And
have you?
Yeah, and
why are you doing the cinnamon challenge? Are you eating Tide Pods too? What are you, 22?
No. They're colorful, but they're not that tasty.
But this is Hogarden. This is your most famous wit beer. This is
heck yeah.
Pierre Celis, I think, is credited as kind of resurrecting the wit beer. Was pretty much dead. It was like it wasn't really being produced anymore. It kind of just died out after World War II. Nobody was drinking it, but this brewery kind of just kept pumping it through, and they changed up their recipe and did some new things to it. They put it orange peel and coriander, which is what they put in theirs, which is the most traditional one. And they kind of just kept it going, and then it kind of resurged back in the 80s and 90s as people kind of got into more wheat beers, and kind of the first wave of craft came through as well. Definitely one that people forget about, and when people talk about Blue Moon, that's kind of mentioned as like the the macro version of a wit beer. But yeah, you can put orange in them, you can put lemon in them, or just don't put anything in them and just drink them by themselves. That's fine too.
I would always say start out, just try it.
Yeah,
Just like,
right.
just like your mom says,
Needs it or
don't
not.
salt
Yeah,
things
right.
until you've tried it at least.
Well, it's not even a need. It's just, a preference. I can drink a Corona, but hot damn, do I want a lime in there? I really do.
You do because it's terrible without it.
Can't help it. Sorry.
All right.
Josh, I'm with you.
Just how it is.
No, I'm the only one against. Marty's agreeing. He's down for a Corona and lime.
Oh, absolutely.
No, he's
I
not.
gotta make a correction though. The can says grapefruit zest. Untapped just says grapefruit, but the can is probably more accurate.
Untapped, dropping the ball.
Well, I'll let our viewers in on a little secret, which is that, and maybe this is obvious to people, but you can add beers to Untapped yourself. And in a lot of cases, if the breweries are small and they're real busy, we are often, if you're on the wall, like the first store or among the first few stores to get Hubbard's Cave, right, fresh off the line. And a lot of times we go to put that stuff in our, add it to our menus and stuff, and it's not in beer menus, occasionally not even on Untapped, and so we add it. And so, I always try to look at the can and put everything, whatever the can says, I try to put it on there and get the ABV right. But I think some people take some shortcuts and they're like, I'm not going to type the word zest.
Yes.
I'm going to save myself half a
I'm
second.
going to hit that Z button. I'm going to
say
over there.
letters.
Right.
I don't even know what zest is. I'm just gonna write it in.
Probably not added by the brewery to put that in there. That's probably some retail store or maybe just some Yakimo who
Some Yakimo standing at a beer festival with 3 beers in his hands that he's trying to feed to his friends while you're all just licking each other's beers and kind of fumbly
he just
typing
tried
it.
He's like, what? I'm not going to get credit for this check-in?
I've definitely never.
I got to get a check-in.
Take a picture of me holding up, and then it'll count.
I've never done that before.
It's like typos, no picture.
Oh boy.
But so yeah, do you guys feel like this beer? I feel like the things that are usually real subtle in a wit beer are pretty pronounced in this one, and I like it.
I like
It's
big
fun.
flavors, yeah.
Ryan, what do you think?
I'm gonna yield to the mayor. He was about to talk.
Oh,
No,
was it?
I'm not a huge fan of this style, to be honest, but I do like it. I like it more than I thought I would, to be completely honest.
It's got the right color and stuff for this type of beer.
Yeah. Well, I usually don't. Bubblegum is usually not like the biggest thing I pull out. Like I understand that that flavor profile gets in there, but I feel like I get a lot more of that in this than usually. Like you were saying, like it's big flavors for sure. So yeah, it makes it pretty fun. I'm definitely with Marty. This is not close to the top of my list of beer styles that I prefer or reach for. But it's awesome to see a local brewery doing something other than IPAs and barrel-aged stouts and doing it well. So cheers to that. For sure.
The more I drink it, the more I'm just kind of getting used to it. But I was really into. I'm not saying I'm not into it now, but the first 3 or 4 sips, I was like super into it because it was really surprising. But now my taste buds are getting used to some of those flavors. But coming off the last beer, I was like, wow, first few sips, a lot going on in here.
Yeah, I think the sweetness is kind of starting to drag down on me a little bit, maybe a little too heavy on that bubblegummy note.
It is pretty sweet.
The grapefruit I think would be really nice here. I wish I had more of it. I just like a little bit of citrus or a little bit. Of course, I just made fun of people for putting lemon and orange in beer. I'm about to say this could use more citrus.
You could do? Here's an idea.
Here's an idea: is I could add a piece of grapefruit to this.
I feel like the citrus is right up front. Like the first thing hits your tongue. It's like I get citrus right at the beginning of it, but then I feel like
always carry a lemon. That's what I say.
Oh, for the eyes.
Right, for your enemy's eyes.
Sweetness on the end.
Is that your social distancing lemon where you can squeeze it? If you can squeeze lemon juice in someone's eyes, they're too close. Back off.
Yeah, I mean it's generally if I can't find any hand sanitizer, I'll just take some lemon juice and just go to town.
And then you
just
realize you have some cuts on your hand real quick.
That's science. That's science, Partridge. You can't argue with that.
I'm pretty sure that's not science, actually.
Oh well, your opinion then.
It's good to get that we get called out.
Although what passes for science these days is,
Yeah, that's a problem.
Very true, and please do not take that as what it's worth. Please use real hand sanitizer. Do not use lemons to. I happen to have a lemon for my water for later. That's
You're saying in a pinch, if you have nothing else.
I honestly have no. I mean, the acidity was probably better than a stick in the eye as far as like sanitation goes, but I would not recommend that. Do not listen to me.
Better off with a base of some kind.
Well, that's what's interesting. Like this far in, I mean, it was good. That's a big thing when this virus first started going around. It's like, how can we kill it? Like, what does kill it? What is enough? How long do you have to wash your hands? Like aside from just a normal healthy amount, but like, is hand sanitizer enough, or is a little bit, a certain bleach solution enough? And that's why we do need scientists. Like, get in there, figure it out. Maybe lemon juice does work. Maybe it's acidic enough to do it, but we won't know that unless we get some tests done. And that's why it's important. Anything like this, I mean, err on the side of caution. But like, the sooner we learn these things, the better, and get on top of it.
While you guys are pouring the next beer here, which is our American Solera Power Tippa. I'll go ahead and read some comments from the chat here. We have our dad joke of the week, which is from Matt Coyne, who wants to know, if you only drank half of a wit beer, would you be a half-wit?
I am, for
dad
sure.
Joke of the week. I don't have a graphic for that, but I'll work on it.
Soundboard and graphics.
Yeah, people seem to be generally liking it. People really want you to light that coriander on fire.
Is it gonna blow up?
I don't know. Is that something like a thing that you throw in the air and it
so
just
it's used in garam masala in Indian food. I was gonna say I just tasted some more of it, and I definitely got the Indian vibe that Josh was talking about. It's just this tastes very mild. This is probably not a great brand. It's a little expired, but I can see that. So it's in masala dishes.
I feel like I'm gonna YouTube lighting it on fire before I do it, so I understand if it's gonna. Speaking of science, I've seen it, like magnesium stuff. You don't want to light that stuff on fire. Mess your face up. Yeah, it gets my test. All right, be right back.
Yeah, I gotta get the next one too.
This is what you want to see in your glass when you're at your house when you're all done with it. Nice lacing on there. Yeah. You got clean glassware. You got good beer. What's your glassware of choice over there?
Well, so I'm going to show you. It's my favorite glass that I own. I know it's not a beer drinking glass, but it is my Mayor McCheese glass.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I know it's not official beer drinking.
No, I think that's
any
completely
clean
perfect.
glass, really.
I want to know, do you have like a lot of like Mayor paraphernalia? Do you have like Mayor Adam West like posters like signed by Adam West like in your house anywhere? Do you have like famous mayors throughout history just all over your house?
No, I honestly have two. I have a Mayor McCheese. It's really Mayor McCheese specific. I have a T-shirt and I have my glass, and that's it.
Oh man, that's a great glass. Is that an old? I just saw. Is that an old school glass from like 30 years ago?
My son found it in like a resale shop down in Indiana.
Yeah, I remember those glasses. Those are awesome.
It was a Father's Day gift. I was. So here's a good story where my humor just wasn't appreciated. I was like when I first got maybe it's like a year after I was elected, and I had a conversation with a reporter, and they said, well, do you work with other mayors? Do you talk with other mayors? Do you have any other mayors who are, who you hold in high regard? And I went on like a 2-minute not rant, but 2-minute sort of speech about how Mayor McCheese is my idol, how, he manages all, think about the geography that Mayor McCheese lords over, and I finished my sentence, my speech, and there was like dead silence on the phone, and I was just riffing and kind of making jokes, and I thought I was being funny, and the person I was speaking to did not think I was being funny at all, and didn't get the joke, and I had to backtrack and make sure that they actually didn't print the whole Mayor McCheese speech. So, but anyways, I'm a big fan of Mayor McCheese, and that's the only mayor paraphernalia I have here in the house.
For now.
I definitely remember that glass, man. I mean, there were a bunch of them. They had a glass for the Fry Guys. They had a glass for the Hamburglar. For Eat Early Bird. Who was with me? Early Bird.
Early Bird?
Early Bird, yeah.
I don't know if I know that.
Really? Well, yeah. I mean, it's an older person. It's an older person's thing. Yeah, Early Bird was another character, a contemporary of Mayor McCheese and Hamburglar and Grimace and all those guys. Early Bird flew a plane.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Lady.
I did not.
She had light goggles and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did not know that was the name.
I think she celebrated. I don't know, McMuffins. I guess I don't know. What was she sort of the patron saint of?
I mean, did they just start introducing breakfast at that time? And she was.
Wait.
I'm looking this up. I'm gonna try to put
We'll
up
stick
an
with
image.
McNuggets.
Oh,
that could work.
I didn't realize that was her name.
Yeah,
Well,
same. I totally remember.
That's kind of my wheelhouse, is remembering names.
Wait, Early Bird's got to be
characters.
breakfast food, right? It's got to be breakfast food,
You would
Yeah.
think, yeah.
right?
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, she's my queen because, man, McGriddle. Woo.
Josh, have you ever opened with Tyler before?
Have I? Not enough. Let me put it.
Not enough. Tyler at
Tyler-
Renewal will
Tyler hooks you up.
surprise whoever else is opening with McMuffins.
And I can't. I mean, Tyler's consistent, but Mike
And
did
with
a
hash
good
browns.
deed on Monday when we were closed. Was that just a week ago? Man, that was a long
It was
week.
1 week ago. Yeah, we shut down.
Yeah, we
started
closed to reorganize, be more efficient, and Mike brought in he double fisted McDonald's sacks, and what a hero!
Yeah.
Good on Mike. Tyler hasn't been around, so someone's got to step up. So, but yeah, we need Tyler back ASAP. All right, Power Tippa.
I had this beer last week. I still think it's great. I really like it a lot.
I got so excited because this has been in for a little bit, and American Solera is an awesome brewery. Really cool for us to be getting them in. But yeah, it's got my favorite hop combo, Citra Mosaic. So there you go.
I mean, how long has American Solera been available to us? Not long, right?
1 month.
And Ryan, what's the deal with these guys?
So
It's a
they're
side
out of
project
Tulsa,
of the guy
Oklahoma. It is and also I just put a picture of Early Bird up at the screen underneath Matt, just
Oh, nice.
for you all to be aware of and know that it's there for you. So you know
Jog
what
your
I'm talking
memory.
about. Yeah, but American Solera is the kind of the I forget if it's the brewer. I think it was probably more than likely it's the brewer from Prairie Artisan Ales, kind of doing his own thing. Went out into his own offshoot. They do some spontaneous ales there, but I actually don't. I don't know a whole lot of them. I've only tried a lot of what's come to the store here. I am a member of their their ASS membership, which is the American Solera Society. That's what they affectionately call it. So I do get a lot of stouts and barley wines from them, and I get like I said, all these big triple IPAs and stuff. But I know they're mostly known for kind of some wild, spontaneous fermentation ales. But I can't say I've had a whole lot of them.
Don't the stouts come in tiny little cute bottles?
They do, yeah.
Did
They
we
come in
have-
like 500 ml bottles.
Oh, I mean, I thought we had one that came in a bottle that was I don't know,
In our
8
store?
ounces or something. I thought we had
Oh,
one.
yeah,
Ryan,
no,
that came in.
You and I had a one that had like a blue piece of corn on it. And it was like 12 ounces and it was a barrel aged stout. It was
Blue corn or something. Maybe
Yeah.
blue corn.
It was like
It was
11.
out of this world. Remember that beer?
I do remember that beer. It was great.
Oh man.
It was like 9 ounces.
Yeah, whatever that was. That was a teeny tiny
9-ounce
bottle
bottle.
for a picture.
This is awesome. It's dangerous. We're in the danger zone right now because this is 10%. So triple
Danger
IPA,
zone.
Tippa, Power Tippa. This thing is a beast. Super juicy, a lot of citrus, a lot of like orange peach juice.
Did you say Mosaic, Josh?
Citra Mosaic, yeah, it's the best combo. It's my favorite. Give me something better.
I know it's a great combination,
Yeah.
but as soon as I smell it,
I'm just
I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
no.
Everybody else get your aroma conflicts in now because your aroma notes in because I'm going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, it is more fun to guess first, but for me, it's a great combo. It's simple but effective. It is fun to have a beer that's got 6 different hops in there, and it's fun to have the single hop ones. But I think 2 hop combos can be really awesome. It doesn't necessarily mean they're 50-50 in the Mosaic, they just complement. For me, it's the winner. When I drink a beer, hazy IPA, and I'm thinking this is one of my favorite things, it usually has either both those hops or just those hops or something like that. Makes me happy. So that's all I care about.
It's being happy. Your own
Drinking Citra Mosaic, I think.
Mayor, are you getting any aromatic notes off that one?
This is kind of more in my wheelhouse of what I would kind of go to on my own, and this is I really like it. I would, again, the 10% would give me pause, perhaps.
This is
but again, we're in a safe space, right? It's the trust. But this is really good. I really like it.
Yeah, it seems like the Facebook comments are like this. This tastes like it's like a 7% or 6% hazy IPA, and it will.
I feel like the end is pretty heavy. I feel like at the end you can.
Yeah,
tell.
but not boozy. You think boozy?
I think there's enough body at the end that you can tell it's hiding something.
Yes, I agree. I will say this is a thick boy, if you will.
Yeah, this is not.
I feel like at the end there, I'm like, oh, yeah. I see what they're doing. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they shoved it in there for sure.
Here's this cute American Solera bottle, Ryan. Not that it relates, but it relates. But
it relates. It's American Solera.
Brewery.
No, it relates. But yeah. This guy here. This one.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's called Life's Distraction. And it took a fair amount of research because somehow this is not like.
You didn't check it in?
I didn't check it in.
Whoa!
No, you had a different version. You had check it out. You get a different version.
Distractions Grasp. Get that
Nope.
one. I don't know, man.
We'll figure it out later.
Marty, do you do any of the untapped check-ins? Keep track of all your drinking?
Yeah, I did for a while.
Same.
Probably back, Josh, when you and I used to talk beer.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't done it in a long time. I'm familiar with it. I just haven't.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up. Matt is a legend. I don't know if you want to reveal some numbers, Matt.
Keeping up department.
You know what's funny, Matt?
Because at the end of the night tonight, I'll go back and I'll check
Matt
this beer
is
in
thorough.
years ago.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, Matt, but you told me when we were working together early on that you were trying to tell me about your check-ins and stuff, and you're so humble. You shouldn't have been. You should have just been like, "Yo, I check in everything, and I'm the best." Because the way you put it, I was so confused, and I was like, "It sounds like he was saying like me, like he doesn't really check in a lot." And I ran it past Ryan. Ryan's like, "Oh hell no, he checks in everything." And then we got friended up, and I was like, "Holy cow, he's got like a whole nother digit on me."
The best is when people are working with Matt and I overhear conversations and they're like, oh hey man, somebody toasted my check-in, or like, oh look at that guy up on the screen, like that guy who's that guy?
He's ripping through beers.
So they check you out and they're like, holy, like their minds are blown, like who the f- is that? And then I tell them, I was like, it's that guy over there.
Yeah. Look
They're
at
like, he has not tried that many beers. I was like, he has tried that many beers.
Yeah.
That's why I started working with you, Ryan, because you were getting dangerously close to my total check. And I knew that it was. I knew that it was the result of working in a beer store, and I knew there was only one thing to do.
That's to work back at a beer store and start catching back up.
Listen, winners gotta win. That's just how it goes.
That's right. Well, Mayor, if you feel like sharing your Untapped handle, you'll have 50 new Untapped friends by the end of the night.
Now I'd be embarrassed. Now I'm very self-conscious to share that because I haven't looked at it in a while. I haven't checked it. I can't remember the last time I checked it. So now
You're busted, dude. You're busted. There it is. I don't know if anyone can see
Beer,
anything else,
500 away from 10,000 unique check-ins. Look at that.
wow.
Yeah.
But I'm not that fun to be Untapped friends with because I just check them in, I give them a quick rating, and I move on.
Yeah.
Ryan will actually write some deep thoughts. I mean, it reads like a haiku. It reads like a Jack Haney's deep thoughts. I mean, there's depth. Ryan will really give his thoughts, and sometimes he'll have to stand over in the corner and work on it while the rest of us move on with the beer festival because he's got to give it his
That's true. I'm
time
usually
it
at least
deserves.
3.
But I mean, Ryan's reviews are fun to read. Mine is just like, oh, Freestad tried 1 or 2 ounces of another 12 beers just now. You know, like
Some people say that doesn't count.
oh, I've heard those people. Yeah,
Heard it? See you later.
and it's a personal record. It's just for myself. I just want to keep a record for myself.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I wish I took the time. I just, but when I do, I'm like Ryan. I actually don't even use the 5-star system because that's is it like relative to the styles or relative to every beer I've ever had? You know, like it's too ambiguous. So I just try to put in some notes in there that help me out with what I was tasting, what I was enjoying, and I mean, if it's a 5-star beer, it's getting 5 stars. But it is funny how I used to be pretty good about it. Going back, I don't think I've had this. Oh, I have, and I had something
Are you
to say
saying
about it too.
Are you saying you don't rate stuff? Is that what you're saying?
For the most part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the most part. I don't bother. I'd rather put something descriptive, and I find that helpful. And honestly, if what a lot of people use on tap for is to look a beer up, power tip, but what's that all about? Is it good? You know, you could look at a star rating, but isn't it a little more helpful when you're scrolling through and you see someone put some notes in, like, oh, this, you know, it's a maltier IPA, or it's it's super juicy, it's out of this world, or oh, it's 10%, you taste all the alcohol, it's not very balanced. Like, that's what I want to see, not just that, oh, everyone's saying it's 5 stars, then what does that mean? What is it all about? So that's just what
and the longer I use on tap, the more, we talked about this a week or two ago, the longer I use it, the more I find myself rating the beer in regards to what it's going for. You know what I mean? Or rated against the style and what it's aiming to do. You know, which
I agree with that.
It makes for a good movie review, you know, or a good record review, where it's like, you know, listen, there's some beers that if you drink them, it's like you're drinking them for a reason. You know what you're getting into. You know what I mean? You're drinking it because it's cheap, or because it's low ABV, or because you wanted a wit beer, or whatever. And so, yeah, I feel like
totally agree.
Rated against what the creators were aiming for makes more sense than rating it against, you know, every beer against Assassin or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, well, this Corona doesn't taste like Assassin. What's going on here?
Oh, 2 stars.
0 stars.
I don't like sour beers.
Yeah. So,
Josh, what's your connection to the mayor?
Yeah.
Talking about beer.
Very funny. I'm trying not to. It's a weird time because our connection is school's out, so for the most part. But I have been doing some tutoring of math and science in Park Ridge, and mostly high school, but I'll tutor anyone that is going to be a good student and needs the help. And got in with, I mean, how was that in like 2013?
It was a long time ago.
It feels like a long time ago, you know. So I started tutoring your oldest, and you have a wonderful family of 4, and I think I've given them all a little help, and they're all.
I think you did actually.
Yeah.
And so my oldest is 20. Just turned 22. She's a senior.
She was my first student I served alcohol to, which was a real trip. That's how long I've been doing it. Yeah.
That makes me proud.
She came in over the winter, and I was like, I know I don't need to check her ID, but we're gonna check it because this is fun.
That's fine. I heard that story actually.
Yeah.
Ryan told me that story.
It's good.
Yeah, and then you I think you've tutored all the kids: Ryan, Connor, Timmy, and Fiona.
Yeah.
In fact, when I went down between my council meeting and this meeting, or this.
No, it's fine. We can call it a meeting. That makes it sound professional.
Yeah.
I said, oh, I'm going back up for my call with Beer on the Wall, and Connor is downstairs, so he's finishing up his sophomore year at Butler.
Butler, right?
He's pulling his hair out over a statistics class. He's like, yeah, can Josh take a break on the call and help me with ANOVAs? I said, well, I can ask him, but
yeah.
So
you should have given me warning because I'm not ready. I do a little prep beforehand, but
no, listen, you got to have a little power before you can understand.
But yeah, so Josh is as great as he is on beer. He's an excellent tutor as well. He's
Thank you.
My kids.
Yeah. And you had one of my best bonuses, if you will, a little holiday bonus of 3 Floyds. back in the day. I believe I got. Speaking, we were talking about Mastodon. I believe there was a Crack the Sky in there, and a sixer of zombie dust. And I was like, you could pay me in this every week. That'd be okay. Who knew? Yeah. So.
Question: am I ridiculously loud now?
No.
I just realized I had
Never once been loud, Ryan. You've only been quiet, if anything, or normal, but never loud.
Oh, really? Okay. I was gonna say I just realized that my microphone to my headset's been plugged in the whole time. So.
Oh, you're like the same.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, you've been okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Listen, I would have told you.
I know you would have.
Straight up, yeah.
We got
But,
on the chat. We got people posting how many unique check-ins. The race is Matt's at 9,562, and I'm at 7,320.
that's fun.
So
I am here. I'll tell you mine. Like I said, I'm not even.
it's all right. I wasn't paying attention to the YouTube chat
Josh,
either.
I've definitely been at events with you, like a Revolution beer release where we're trying new beers.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely like on my phone checking something in, and you're standing there not on your phone, so I know that you're not reading.
Yeah, I do this thing where I take pictures of everything and be like, all right, like an hour after the thing, I'll run back through and I'll remember, like I only take in, and then it's like, you're not, no, never. That never happens. I have this backlog of photos. I'm like, I don't remember drinking. I don't remember looking at that. But it reminds me, Eric from our store, he's on Untapped, and I don't know what his number is. He doesn't care how big the number is. He cares about his ratio. Unique to check-ins, and he's at 100%. And I'm up there, but I only have 1715 for unique beers. I only have 1887 for check-ins. So I don't do a lot of double dipping, but I do feel like it's necessary. Like I know Eric's like pretty firm on that, but we age stouts and stuff like that, and people change recipes and things like that. I think it's always good to revisit, and if and my palate's changed, and that's how you get better.
I mean, I just love making lists. I always have. It's like fun for me. I do. You know what I mean? I have a list.
Right.
I'm on Letterboxd for movies, and I got all my movies on there, and I have a list of all my CDs and records. And I have a list of every concert I've been to.
Now, do you have a list, or do you use a website? Because there's a website, and I can't think of it.
I should be on a website. It's just a Word
Yeah.
document now, which is pretty terrible.
There's a website where you can post set lists from every show, and then you can say if you were there.
Well, that's a good call. I've been to the Setlist website.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
and I like doing that
That's a great
because
site.
I love.
You can check in there.
Yeah,
it's fun.
If you make an account, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's something simple like Setlist, not .com, but something like that.
No, it's fun to check out the show, the tour a day or two before you go to see a band to see what they're going to be rocking and how it differs.
Yeah, the whole tour for sure.
But what's also dumb is I have there's a lot of stuff I can't remember, but I'm really good at remembering beer names and breweries and where the breweries are located and stuff. So it's like, part of me feels like even if I didn't have Untapped, I'd probably remember most of the beers anyways, because I'm like that. But I don't know. It's fun to do. I just like pressing that button and seeing the little check mark.
Who doesn't like that? Awesome.
And it's fun to watch and see what your friends are drinking, for sure, and what they thought of it.
It is funny to describe it to people that have no idea about Untapped. It's like, listen, it's Facebook for beer, and you just check it in, and you can see what your friends are drinking, and I keep up with people that I haven't talked to in a long time. Good, they're still drinking good beer. Like they're doing okay.
No one else is getting socks and green onions on this beer. Just me.
No, juice bombs.
Socks and green onions. Well,
I would say this.
The end is heavy. I feel like the end is heavy, so it's like I don't know if I wouldn't say full on juice bomb.
But I would say that's more of like a mouthfeel thing, like the body of the beer, not necessarily.
Oh, there's no mouthfeel of socks. This is all aroma of socks.
Yeah, I understand, but when he says heavy, like that's what we're getting at here. But I will also say, if you do want to check out Ryan's Untapped, a lot of it is his palate's amazing. Like I can't deny that, but I also find myself saying like, that's not what my palate's picking up.
Yeah,
but you keep going back. You keep going back, and you keep reading. You can't stay away.
It is some of the best reads you'll get.
It's compelling literature.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it has
It's
mosaic
like,
in it,
no way, dude.
I'm probably gonna note that it smells like onions, and if it has citron, I'm probably gonna say it smells like
Then,
socks.
Sometimes Ryan will hit on something. I'm like, oh my god, he's right. Like that's what that is. And that's what it's all about. Like being able to discern, not just be like, it's juicy.
See,
That's
one
cool.
of our commenters said garlic chive.
Garlic chive. There you go.
Garlic chive or
Yeah,
chive?
garlic chives. Like
Chives.
like cream cheese with garlic and chives.
This beer? Really?
I don't get that.
I do not get it.
at all.
I'll give him chives. I don't know about garlic, but I'll give him chives.
I think the very, very
Are you
final,
really
the
right?
very last,
Yeah.
last
Oh, yeah.
part of the sip is kind of bitter.
A little bit
It's
of like
pretty
green
bitter.
onion note in there.
I've gotten green onion, like especially when hops are like super fresh, or I forget which hop really put it off for me. But I've gotten it before, but it's not screaming on this beer. I feel like there's a lot of other things that jump out first.
No, it wasn't like Mirrorball. Mirrorball was a lot of mosaic.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, it does sit, like, again, the heaviness, I feel like the lasting effect once you're finished with a sip is it kind of sits on the back of your tongue a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And
It's sweet, syrupy.
and when it's back there, that's not really where I taste like an orange, you know what I mean? So it's like back in that spot is where I'm not used to tasting citrusy stuff, so I kind of see what Ryan's saying in that it's a little bitter and a little funky right at the end. I wouldn't go as far as onion, certainly not as far as socks.
Are you getting like vegetal though?
No, not even that. Just more bitter than
Me neither.
the rest of the sip would imply. But
And I should say, I think those are like very subtle notes. I think the prominent
Sure.
notes for me are like grapefruit and watermelon. Like those are kind of the big ones that jumping out of the glass at me.
the general takeaway from the comments is that people are just like, how is this hiding all of that?
10%. I know it's awesome.
Yeah. And also,
Yeah, I do.
because of the Mayor McCheese glass, people are ready to wipe away any term limits that might exist for the Mayor.
That's what's up.
People are very, very pleased with
Yes.
glassware.
Maloney 2021, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
We're getting some comments about Untapped being a Pokemon Go for alcoholics.
Hey.
It's not
I
wrong.
just deleted that from my phone, actually.
Did you?
It's not wrong.
I played Pokemon Go quite a bit. I grew up with Pokemon. I had a lot of fun with that, but you know what? Now I play Dr. Mario, so there you go. Fun fact.
There you go. So it's someone's
Oh, you know
posting.
what level I just hit, too? I just hit level 420 in April, so there you go.
So with Pokemon Go, and I mean, it requires you to get out there in the world and go to places.
Not
I
if
mean,
you
is
live in the city.
I was gonna say, is that
I live on a
legal
corner,
right now?
and there are there's 2 parks and a high school, like all on this corner. And so I sit in from my apartment. I can spin a Refocus stop. There's a gym, and if I do even walk a 1 block little square thing, I can hit 8 Pokestops, which are like you spin them and you get like Pokeballs and other things you need. And then the gym is where you can
That's where people are looking at the ceiling, right? Or like looking up at their phones at the gyms.
I'm sorry, you guys speaking? I'm not really understanding you. You guys speak
Yeah.
Only barely.
Or
yeah.
what language are you speaking?
Yes, we're speaking Nintendo.
The better question is,
good
Mayor Maloney,
old
do you
fun.
know that there are 3 Pokemon stops directly outside of City Hall in the park?
Yeah,
Well, the mayor should know
that's
about
Hodges
that for
Park,
sure.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Hodges
You
Park
learn
has
something new
3
every day.
Pokestops. You could.
Yeah, there's this new wave of games. I believe they call them, ironically, we've been using virtual a lot, but they call them like virtual reality games. And
Yeah, I
what
think
it is they take like a Google map and they overlay. There's a Harry Potter one, there's a Pokemon one. I'm sure there's a couple others I'm forgetting. And you just walk around and Pokemon pop up, and it's like you're playing Pokemon, like you're in the world.
You hold your phone up and you can see the real world.
Yeah,
Phones
if you
looking
do-
on top of it are creatures and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm being a little sarcastic. I know my kids do it.
I was gonna
okay.
say they.
familiar,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure you won't see me at the Pokemon gym. You won't see me in any gym, as a matter of fact.
Not these days. We don't have a choice.
It's a great ad for a big bulky beer on the wall sweatshirt, though.
It's very comfortable, Matt.
There you go.
And you're missing the
still
best
waiting for
part.
the right size.
You have to show them the bottle opener that's contained within.
Well, I've detached the bottle opener, but I do have, and I got to be careful here now. I do have the pouch where the bottle.
Oh yeah, the
Right.
koozie
Oh yeah.
pouch.
Yeah.
I got to be careful.
Custom
Right
koozie
there.
pouch.
Yeah. Your koozie goes right into the thing.
Like a kangaroo.
Wait, you detach the bottle opener though, like in a pinch, like you needed one real bad, and your neighbor had to borrow it, or what?
Yeah, I can't remember what the motivation was for it. It was very functional.
Because it's
But I
mostly
think it
useful
was-
right there.
the attachment was required, so I did that, and now of course I lack that as in a pinch. But
That's okay.
the sweatshirts are, Ryan. I'm sure they're still available for purchase. If
They're
people
not. We're
want it.
transitioning into summer gear now, so we've
I assure you, they're
tank tops.
yeah.
But I'm still waiting for a sweatshirt of the right size.
That's
Yes,
true.
we will get restocks.
We'll get restocked in September. I set a Google Calendar reminder this time, so I wouldn't forget.
My man.
There is a segment of your customer base that's probably more like myself, hoodie interested, not tank top interested.
Not purple tank top. That's not.
We understand.
That's really only like 10% of our audience, and Carl, Josh's brother.
Like a purple tank top, a fanny pack,
Right.
headband.
Yeah,
all
the
of
fanny pack is where it's at. I wear that all the time.
All right.
Great if you're going to like Great America for the day.
Yeah, fun fact, you can't wear it in Lollapalooza, though. Too many pockets. Can you believe that?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I heard this. It's got to be a single zipper, and we have 3, which is great for utility, but not great for Lollapalooza.
What do you're saying they're banned because there are too many zippers?
Yeah,
Because it takes them too long to search them all?
I guess. You have to ask them. You know what happens at Lollapalooza. You've been there a time or two.
Yeah. No.
No secret compartments going on there. But yeah, I heard if you're going to have one, it's got to be a single zipper, simple. I don't know if they'd like turn you away from that, but I got real sad. We wanted to market it.
Have they made an announcement about Lollapalooza for this year?
I don't think
but
they
I
have.
mean, with the governor saying like, I suggest all summer festivals cancel, it's going to be kind of hard for them to make it happen.
Yeah, they may wait for another, till the end of the month or whatever, see if things get extended. But that would be insane. Yeah, we'll see.
That'd be a bummer for sure.
It's a lot of business, man.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right. Should we crack into our last beer of the night?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And remember, everyone watching at home, you don't have to be a hero. You don't have to drink all 4 beers tonight. Maybe drink 2 tonight. Maybe save a couple more for later. You can go back and watch this. This is on YouTube and Facebook, so you can just go back and rewind and hit pause and come back. Don't be a hero. I know some of you are going to be heroes, but that's great.
I'm gonna do it, Ryan.
I have to. No, you're already at home. I have to drive home, so I'm taking it very easy. I'm gonna inventory some wines, drink some water, and then I'm gonna head home.
They really snuck in the perennial down here, huh?
Yeah.
This is a St. Louis powerhouse collab. I am very excited for this.
Yeah, this is melodic, if you're trying to pronounce that with the weird symbols and things. It's
Say it
melodic.
again.
That's how you say it.
Oh, that is full. This happened last week with the stout.
With the pecan, yeah.
Yeah. Hailstorm, Notorious. This was probably second shift. Yeah, second shift canvas, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah, that's a full boy.
That's a full boy. Well done. In second shift, if I'm sure people out there have had some of their stouts, primarily Liquid Spiritual Delight.
LSD for short.
Yeah, affectionately shortened to LSD. They do LSD and they do coffee variants and barrel aged. They're always a treat, so this is very exciting. And Perennial, what do they make, Ryan?
They make a beer called the Braxis. It's all
Okay.
right. It's amazing. I love that beer.
Ryan's a big fan. Big fan. So,
People are pointing out that the library is also a gym, a Pokemon gym.
mhm.
Fun fact.
And for those, I'm sure someone called us out or was thinking about it. We submitted. We tried to become a Pokemon stop, so we'll see if that goes through.
I have a feeling, I know you told me to, and I did submit it, but I have a feeling that they don't want kids coming to a liquor store to fight Pokemon battles.
You know what?
Even a
I understand that.
And there's
No,
the
and I
train
understand
station
that.
is a gym too. Just.
But I also I feel like their algorithm just takes hotspots, and I feel like there's already some that are out there. I don't feel like we're trying to break ground as we're because back then we were still a slashy cafe bottle shop. We could have spun that a little bit, but I feel like there's some questionable ones out there, and it's more about just you don't even have to be right outside the business. You can be halfway down the block, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe Off the Wall will submit too.
I'll say Off the Wall is probably a better candidate for that now. Now that exists, so it's probably
Give it a right. But I feel like they
If I
probably
can
get
help out with that, Josh, let me know.
Yeah, we'll
Letter recommendation or something.
yes, that would be more fun for everyone for sure. We're here. Do we have new glassware? Sans the mayor for oh, you do.
I do.
I got my Rev.
I shifted away from Mayor
Victory?
McCheese.
That's
Was
all
it
right.
Victory?
Yeah, it is Victory. Yeah.
You're on the wall.
Classic. What a classic.
Fashion Bourbon County.
Bourbon County.
2014 Bourbon County class right there.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know. Is that what year it is? It's old. I know that, but maybe 2014.
I trust Ryan with his Bourbon County knowledge. So this is actually we're taking a step down to slightly lower ABV. That is imperial, but only 9.1%. Vanilla, cinnamon, coffee. So, I'm looking for all three of those.
Yeah, I taste those things.
Do too.
I'm just trying. The cinnamon.
Yeah,
I mean, much like last week, the cinnamon's jumping out to me.
The
Still a
tendency on
little
these is
cold.
to
I
go.
pulled this a while ago.
Yeah, mine's perfect temp. And the tendency on these is to go a little bit more on the sweeter side of things, and make it more like, make like hot chocolate, or make it more like a over sweetened coffee drink. But this second shift doesn't really do that. Second shift definitely sticks
roasty.
to roasty, old
Yeah.
school imperial stouts, kind of like
Keeps going.
like an Expedition or like an old Rasputin. They have like a really good backbone of bitterness to them, and this still has that. It still has that coffee roastiness to it.
I think that brings up something interesting that I know I've had at least one conversation about, is that like people will see a stout, and sometimes on Untappd or on our menu it'll say IBUs, and it'll be like 60 or 70. Like, well, I don't like bitter, and it's kind of inherent with an imperial stout. It's just going to happen. You're going to have so much malt and other things going on. There is going to be bitterness, but you need that to balance out with everything. So even if you don't like an 80 IBU hoppy beer, when it comes to stout, it's a completely different ballgame. And right now, I'd love to know what the IBUs are.
Yeah, I don't even look at IBUs when it comes to stouts. I mean, I know what you're saying. It's like,
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really
but
tell
it
you
is
much.
always up there just because of the natural style. But it goes on when you sip it, and it works. Yeah, it's fun.
Aiden suggested we find a churro to dip in here, and I will concur with that.
I would too, actually. That's a
Oh, that would be good.
That's
First
actually
couple of
churros.
sips coming off the last beer were a little weird for me. First few sips, I had trouble adjusting to this beer. But now that I'm 3 or 4 in, yeah, it's nice, man.
What's the 3-sip rule?
Well, whether you're eating or you're coming off fresh or something like that, like sometimes you can dive into something, and I mean, I guess it's true for anything, but we apply it to beer as your first sip can be kind of abrasive and jarring because you're
Pretty
kinda,
big difference from the
You're
last
kind of calibrating like maybe you had expectations and it's completely different, or maybe I'm going to drink this fruit beer and it's a sour, or something like that. But I like to say three separate sips to kind of get your whole mouth calibrated and adjusted, and I think it's good for finding some of the more subtle flavors coming through. Obviously, like you drink something, be like, oh, it's bitter, and I hate this, and that's that. But revisiting it, maybe you pull out something enjoyable or something different out of that than your initial pull beer.
Yeah, there's definitely been some times where I've had like Punane sour beers where I'm like haven't drank anything, or it's like the first beer of the day, or it's haven't eaten anything in a while, and I take one sip and I'm just like blown away by the acidity, like cannot, like crying just from so much acidity hitting my mouth, and then like 3 or 4 sips later, it's like, oh, this isn't so bad. Your mouth kind of calibrates to that, and it kind of allows you to taste other different flavors that are going on, and you kind of get past that initial taste of sourness, and then you kind of move on to the nuances, and your nose starts to play a little bit better with your mouth, and you can start to pick up more things.
I definitely get all 3 of those flavors, like, well done. I definitely get coffee up front. I get cinnamon in the middle, and then kind of lays me down on a vanilla pillow.
Hey.
It's nice.
Pillow? Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah.
Vanilla pillow. Well, you know, just the way.
My band in college.
Was it? I feel like we opened for you guys. Yeah, I just, but you know, vanilla. It's like it's just not on your tongue. It's just sort of like billowing throughout your mouth, but it's never really like in a real specific spot. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I feel like it's more of a pillow that you're kind of like laid your entire head down on. You know.
It's a vanilla.
A vanilla,
Vanilla.
if you will.
My DJ name, but we'll talk about that later.
There you go.
That's a great DJ name. DJ Vanilla.
Spell it funny too, like marshmallow.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, I definitely, for me, I think we talked about it recently. Is like I love that harsh vanilla. Yeah, hard. Like, beat me over the head with it. It's fine, but yeah, I'm not gonna argue when it's working well with everything else too.
It's kind of a waft of vanilla, right? It kind of just sort of
some vanilla wafer action going on. I guess I should clarify, not vanilla wafer, like the wafer cookie action. A little sweetness, a little bit of that. I don't know, wafer.
People wondering, Mayor, if your band in college was actually called Cinnamon in the Middle.
in the middle. It's also a good name.
If we
We're gonna write these down.
Sure. maybe that's a summer band.
Tonight,
Yeah, that sounds more like a
Pillow
60s sort
of
of
Vanilla
sort of
with
hippie
opening
dippy
act.
summer love.
Miss Cinnamon in the Middle.
I like it.
I'd go to that show once this is all over, of course.
Right. Well, you could
Also-
go now and you'd be the only ones there.
That's true. That'd be great.
This summer, though. This fall, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Outside, play the Main Street Craft Beer Festival. Cinnamon in the Middle and
Vanilla
Pillows.
pillow.
Vanilla
Pillow.
What genres are we talking about here? 'Cause that's also important.
Middle seems hippie.
Excellent
dippy.
question.
Yeah.
Excellent question.
Like a 60s kind of a. I don't know. I think of like maybe the Birds. You know,
Are we talking about Cinnamon
Like
in
a
the
lot
Middle,
of
or are we talking
songs,
about
a lot of
Yeah,
anti-war.
cinnamon in the middle. Yeah.
anti-war stuff in their canon.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why, but Cinnamon in the Middle to me, a lot of sort of chimey acoustic guitars, harmonies for sure.
It works.
Okay. What about Vanilla Pillow? Vanilla Pillow is that
like Anthem
It's,
Rock?
it's a DJ. That's the guy with the
that's
laptop.
more
He's got the
EDM. I think that's
laptop
more
and the vanilla
EDM.
beat for a head.
makes sense? Yeah. That's just a banana.
A laptop.
Ryan's got it.
Just an entire stadium full of people waiting for him to drop the bass.
But he never does it.
Just keep leaves him wanting more.
He only
Good
drops
SNL skit,
Pillows
man.
of Vanilla. That's all he drops. Also, people are noting that the coffee was a new addition to Melodic this year. Last year was just vanilla and cinnamon.
Oh, I missed out
Coffee,
last
to me,
year.
the coffee tastes like the overriding flavor.
It does.
You know, so
Yeah,
like,
it
it makes
comes
me wonder,
through.
like, what were they doing before that happened?
Yeah. Well, and this is important too, because now, coffee, like, a lot of people will get coffee on a beer like this anyway, because it's dark and roasty and does have some bitterness going on. It just basically, like, screams black coffee flavor profile. But, was that coming out last year, so they leaned into it and added coffee, and now it's overtaking it, or, it'll be, I like it when they kind of switch it up year to year, and it's, the same idea, but a little bit different, because this is super enjoyable, and I'd love to know what was it like last year. What will they do next year?
Just keep
That's
adding
awesome,
more
though.
stuff. They'll add coconut,
Coconut,
maple.
cacao.
Oh, Jonathan Agney thinks that Vanilla Pillow is definitely a trip hop group.
Oh, that's
I can see that. I can see that for sure.
I thought, I was
trip
thinking.
hop.
And for the record, I'm
Still wearing
borrowing
these.
this format from ABV Chicago. I wish I knew the episode off the top of my head, but they had one of the best intros ever. Was just coming. I think they took beer names and then came up with, if that was a band.
If that was
No,
a band.
it was.
Yeah,
it
what
was,
would the genre be? And
Oh, I'm sad I missed that episode. That's
yeah, I'll dig it up. I'll dig it up, because man,
It was
that
things in their
hilarious.
everyday lives that they made into like music.
That's right.
Music things
Yeah, it was hilarious.
like
It was
sand,
really good.
sand, like dad problems, like sand everywhere.
Sand everywhere. Yeah, and then they'd be like, "What kind of band is sand everywhere?" You're absolutely right. We'll have to get that episode up so everyone can listen. Man, that's good stuff.
So Ryan, can people get these? Is this still something you have? These 4 beers we've drank tonight. Can they get this from the store? Or do you guys have this for
Yep.
purchase?
All four of these beers are still available. We've got probably about a case of each left. The Melodic, I think, is dangerously low. I think we're down to 2 4-packs. But now you can go to our website. We have greatbeer.com, and you can buy things by the can. We have everything priced by the can and by the bottle now, because y'all just love mixed 6s and mixed 4s and mixed 72 packs so much that we just gave in and said, you know what? We're just going to give you everything by the can and by the bottle.
Rip it.
So you can come in and mix a pack. You can still have this virtual pack still available. We still got, I think, 3 left. We got a few more of everything on the shelf too. But yeah, you can mix your own packs and use that e-commerce website, because Josh spent a lot of time updating a lot of things, and Matt went through every single item on Untapped and changed them all over to single can items.
You did Untapped, dude.
He did everything. The whole thing.
Done. You guys, I haven't seen Matt in person in like weeks, so this is, I know he's working hard, but holy mackerel, well done, sir.
Yeah, Mayor, I have some compromised, some individuals with compromised health at home, so I have not been working in the store lately. But I mean, doing some stuff at home for sure when I can, database stuff and website stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, you were asking earlier how people are doing, but yeah, I mean, everybody's got to kind of figure this out in their own way and navigate it,
For sure. It's a there's no manual for this, right?
No.
I mean, you mentioned you have 4 kids, and I'm assuming they all had to come home. Some of them were in college, but they all came home. So now you're back to having a full house for probably the first time in 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah, that's why if I froze at any point during the biggest, and fortunately, our biggest challenge has been bandwidth.
Right. You have not frozen, by the way.
Yeah, well done.
If I froze, that's why, because I've got 2 kids at Maine South that are e-learning, and then my daughter's a senior at Auburn University, and she's home now. And my son's a sophomore at Butler, and he's home now. So it's great. Honestly, it's great having a home. I love my kids, and it's great having everybody here. But bandwidth is an issue.
Yeah.
But again, if that's the worst of the issues, we're okay.
Yeah.
But
So are the college school years finishing out pretty normally, or not so much?
Well, I mean, they're all e-learning to the end. My daughter is my 2 kids that are in college. Ryan, as you know, Josh, is a senior in college.
Yeah.
But so her graduation now has been pushed to August. So, but she's home now, just to kind of finish out. She may go back down there in a little bit, but for now she's home. And Connor is, he's finishing on his sophomore year. Yeah, they've got finals in a couple of weeks. They'll do, and so it's, I mean, as normal as things can be.
Right.
But, and then my other 2, I have a senior at Maine South, who, and she's actually the one I feel the worst for.
Right.
She's losing, prom and all the things. Like the last 6 weeks of high school are kind of the most fun.
It's a big time. Yeah.
So you hang out with the friends that you're not going to see much next year. You know what I mean? Like a lot of are going to go to different. Like by the time this is over, people might be getting ready to go to college. You might not see your buddies anymore, and
right. She's the one I feel the worst for. Although again, in the whole grand scheme of things, these problems are manageable, right? Everybody's losing things. I have a cousin of mine. We all know people who have pushed their weddings and major issues, and there are worse things than that. So I totally get it. But my daughter Fiona's having, she's losing all of her last of high school stuff.
Stinks.
It does. But again, that's why, like, when we lose major things, like, whether it be in the beer world, Dark Lord Day, or in the city world, the Memorial Day parade is canceled, things like that. It just reminds me, that this is why my daughter's losing stuff. We all, it is.
We all got to sacrifice right now. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And the truth is at least everyone's in it together. So as as much as you feel for her because she's not experiencing the stuff that you experienced, everyone else that she goes to school with is having the same experience that she is. So to some degree, people only know what they know. You don't always know what you missed out on. You know what I mean? But as sad as that is, it's like that's the reality for everyone she goes to school with. So at least they'll all have a bond in that. In that they all miss stuff together.
Yeah, across the country too. Going, being a senior, going to college, being like, that's a weird year.
Right.
We all did it.
Maine South here in Park Ridge has been great. I know everybody's watching from different parts of the state and different parts of the world, and they've all again, but here locally, District 207 has been great about trying to continue as normal as possible. So I'm grateful for the work that the teachers and her administrators they're all doing and trying to keep this as normal as possible, even though it's not.
Yeah. Well, considering, this is stressful for everybody, and a lot of us have families to worry about, or certainly friends to worry about, and then coworkers. But Mayor, you're obviously you've got a whole city on your mind, and so we appreciate your work through this because as tough as this is for everybody, you've got a lot more people to think about than the rest of us do. So thanks for your work through this. This is tough.
No need to thank me. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, as much as I complain about how much we're trying to transition our jobs and trying to figure out a way to stay in business, it's ultimately we're just trying to serve beer to people, and while we are deemed an essential product, we're still mostly just keeping people something a little sip on at the end of the night. So thanks to you for keeping Park Ridge going. And there's a lot of projects going on in Park Ridge too. Within a day or two downtown, they went out there and started putting pavers in and started ripping up streets and stuff. So they're getting a lot of work done too.
We have some opportunity to, again, like for example, there are some projects that have been in the works but are going to move forward because they're essential and all these other things, and they'll actually be able to process a little bit faster because people aren't out and about like they
not as busy.
Right. It sounds like a great time to do it because people aren't going to be complaining about like, well, I needed that sidewalk to do this. It's like, no, well, now you don't. You're not going anywhere.
Well, chances are people are going to complain anyways, Ryan. And that's okay. That's our.
When did that start?
Feel free to look at our Yelp reviews sometimes, and yeah, you'll.
You guys, there you go.
You can spend an entire virtual chat about people just complaining.
That's okay. I'm good with that. Complain to me. I'm all right.
So now's the time of the show where we typically go back and we re-pour probably our favorite beer from the show, talk about it real quick, and then if we're so inclined, we give ourselves a little nightcap. But if you are by no means you're a busy guy, if you have to do more things and go about your way and save the world, then please by all means, no need to have a nightcap with us. But we'll.
This is like the last dab speech on the Hot Ones.
Oh, well done.
Is it?
Nice reference.
where it's like you don't have to do it. It's not a requirement, but around here we like to do a little last dab.
Where it's like,
oh yeah,
okay.
The Hot Ones. Okay, look at this camera, look at that camera, look at this camera. Tell the people at Park Ridge what you want to do. Tell them what you want.
Except for it's like, look at your own camera and keep doing what you're doing.
Keep looking at your own webcam. Don't look at any other webcams. It's only your webcam, and tell the people what you want.
I brought all my beers upstairs, which was dumb. This beer, I like this beer, but I think I want to go back and get.
We should. I was thinking it'd be fun if we all put the beer in the camera at the same time. So it's like a big.
Our favorite beer.
Yeah, like if you got the can, you got the can on hand.
I have it here actually, but I don't have the beer here.
I think I know where everyone thinks I'm going, but I
think I know where you're going.
You think you know where you're going, but I didn't.
I'm gonna put your beer nearby.
Okay. Should I not look, and you can tell the world what you think that I'm gonna do?
There, it's done.
All right.
The deed is done.
All right.
That's a good move. I like this video thing. Snazzy. I'm gonna pour more because
I don't know who this person is, but you are not touching or licking my beard. You couldn't do that before, and you're definitely not doing it now, weirdo.
Weirdo. Called out.
Wait, Someone you don't know wants to touch and lick your beard.
Yeah, people are looking at my beard and saying they want to pull it.
Good heavens.
How long till I get there? Because I don't know if anyone's noticed. This is week 3, but
Is it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I didn't know.
I haven't been
realize.
shaving. Yeah, I cleaned it up 3 weeks ago, and I keep going. So
This person says that I look like Janet Mills, except less sexy.
oh,
I think that's a compliment.
I don't know what that. I don't know. And then this person
I
says,
don't know the reference.
this person wants to know if I'm in my childhood bedroom. I
That's
think it's
one of those-
basement. I think it's because
Party basement.
yeah, it's the breaking 2 electric boogaloo.
Man, you do not look like Janet. No, Janet Mills. No, she
I don't
doesn't
think I
even
know
wear
Janet
glasses. I just looked it up. She's the governor of Maine. Unless they're referring to
Governor of Maine.
That's a weird reference. Maybe it's a different Janet
It's a
Mills.
deep cut.
It's a deep cut. Oh wait. Maybe I
No,
spelled
I
it
mean
out.
she's definitely the governor of Maine. I mean, I could see how we could be related.
No. Don't buy it.
She's kind of a pointy.
All right, everyone got a
pointy
beer?
Scandinavian nose.
All right, everyone got your favorite beer ready to go?
Oh, sorry, we're gonna surprise you.
And yep.
Well,
and-
Matt threw it up,
jumped
so
the
I
gun.
threw it up. I got it so excited. Really? Hey!
That's
look at
right.
that.
There
Look
we
at
go.
that. All right, so Ryan, for the record, I threw this guy.
I
That's
wanted to
tactical
go there
AF right there.
really, really bad. I wanted to so bad, but
I
this is
know where you're.
That beer is cool, man.
but
I'm
this is
gonna finish this triple.
All
is
4 beers
amazing.
were good, man.
This is
There wasn't a
Beer's
bad
nice.
beer in the bunch.
No.
Not a bad beer in the bunch.
no, not at all. I just think this stout is something I haven't had in a while. Like just a really, really well balanced stout that's got like a lot of adjuncts and a lot going on. But it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 8 ounces into this thing and I'm still like ready for the next sip. Like it's not overly sweet, it's not overly bitter. It's
not
got
super heavy either.
no, not heavy. It's people say we're saying it's a little thin, but I think I'm okay with that. It's 9%.
I like that. Yeah.
It allows a lot of the flavors to come through. I don't need a giant thick candy bar every time I'm drinking a 12-ounce can of beer by myself.
Good point.
So I'm really impressed. I think it's a really, really nice stout.
Yeah.
And the mayor agrees with me, so you guys are wrong.
Boom.
I'm surprised you said you.
Ryan, that's probably a vote against you, really. You and I are on the same page.
I thought I would be standing alone. I thought all 3 of you would have picked up the Tippa because you Marty, you said that was more your style.
It really was, but I really like this beer.
Sometimes the best beer is the beer you're drinking.
Marty also really likes Dark Lord, I know, so. You like that stuff.
You know, Josh, I've actually only drank it. I've got bottles in my basement. I've only had it, drank it once. I've got bottles in my basement from years ago. I've never.
No kidding. What
Sure,
color
why
wax
not,
is?
right?
I mean, the quarantine's a great time.
It would seem it would, if not now, when, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have anybody in your family to help you with those, that's a tall ask. You know, a whole bottle of dark Lord by oneself.
Well, if they're not
And I
doing
don't.
anything else.
I'm the only beer drinker here, despite my daughter getting carded by Josh. But
Yeah.
I do remember she drank cider, which was a good choice too. We had a good cider on draft. So yeah, I haven't served her beer. So jury's still out, I guess. But
But if people want to get their Dark Lords vacuumed up, definitely bring them into Beer on the Wall once we're up and running again for people.
I was going to
Because
say,
the
next
staff
bottle
at Beer on the
share,
Wall will help you out.
we actually, I feel like this thing got built and we didn't get to show it off. But right when you walk in the front door now, we built a little utility wall, visually little barrier.
Ryan's going to take us there right now.
Willie, I was kind of hoping he would figure it out, but we got some outlets up there for people that like to work from the store, and no one get too dizzy here. But yeah, it is lined with Dark Lord bottles from
I did see
truly Ryan Tracy, quite the collection, and it is a darn good time. So yeah, add more to our collection. Look at
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
LEDs, line them up. You can't see it on video, but the sparkly wax they did the last couple of years looks real good.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's a good looking shelf.
Yeah, it's great. some outlets in there, and just something nice to look at. Stare at the Dark Lord.
We can't wait to have everybody back and look at you.
Seriously.
Those bottles.
I miss you for sure. This beer's the best one. It just is. So good. I'm just such a sucker for these hops. It's like, it's not even fair.
It's good.
It's really good. Yeah.
I like that one too. It was close
And
between that one and the last.
Yeah. It did drop like 30 degrees. I feel like the last couple of days. It feels like stout weather right now.
It really does.
Fair.
It's no joke. Yeah, we're still fluctuating between the cold and the nice warm weather.
All right, Chris is demanding a cuvee. We can certainly get that done.
Oh! Yeah, where's my other glass? Make some room here. They always be blending, people.
Always be.
This is gonna be an interesting one with the wit. Excited.
I finished beer number 1 and beer number 3, so I can't convey.
Do too much.
I have a little
stuff.
bit left of the other one.
I feel like this wit is gonna come through more than we expect. See, looks pretty. They all look the same, don't they? I mean, we do a good job of always getting a couple of varieties in there, but
Now's a good time to stop reading the participants' comments.
are they demanding shotgunning again?
They've gone off the rails
No,
entirely.
we've got a couple. We got a couple trolls in here. I'm just.
That's how you know we're making it big.
Oh yeah, no, that's how you know it. Everything's going real well.
Trolls, just Brian, you made the mistake of mentioning Yelp. It's gonna be a nightmare tomorrow.
Oh yeah, these are probably former Yelp sales reps that are now coming back to haunt us.
Sure. Yeah.
Can we talk about said person? I don't know where they put the review. It doesn't matter. But they complained about our food. This was like a year ago. It's like, yeah, bro, we don't serve food. So.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah, your food was terrible, and
It was terrible in its non-existence.
I don't think you're at the right place. Like, what do we do here? That was fun. Yeah. Cuvee's good. I'm enjoying it.
So can you explain what that is, Josh?
It's just a little bit of everything we drink. Nice little blend. I try to do as equal parts as I can without beaker. Graduated cylinder, if you will. But yeah, cuvee. Just nice little blend. We, as we like to say, ABB, always be blending. And sometimes beers just come together and become better than their separate parts. But you won't know until you try. So
Very good.
Fun
I mean,
thing I like to do.
not often.
Not often.
Not
You're
often.
usually
no.
surprised by it.
Right.
This is true.
It's usually just for fun, but occasionally, every once in a while, you'll find yourself with a magical concoction.
Yes.
I don't know what cuvee means in French. I mean, I know it refers to like blended wines or whatever, but I'm not really
Right.
sure what cuvee
See, literally.
means. But yeah, in the beer world, it means pour all your beers in a glass and drink them all at once.
Wine term derived from cuve, meaning vat or tank.
Okay.
Winemakers use cuvee. Concept of tank of wine to put to some purpose. That's super vague. Well, obviously a tank or a vat where you can blend things. So yeah, when you have like a red blend, it's like a cuvee. But it's a French word, so no one knows how to say it. Just like unane from.
That's right. These trolls on the Facebook posts, why don't they just Zoom bomb us and just go straight to the point? Like, why? What's all this pussyfooting around in the comments section? Like, why don't they just jump in here?
They're
Take their innuendos to the next level.
summer shine.
All right, gentlemen, I am going to. I've reached my limit for meetings tonight.
Sure, yeah. Understandable.
I will leave the Beer on the Wall crew to wrap us up, but I
Thank you, Marty.
I appreciate you inviting me to participate tonight. It's been a lot of fun, and
Absolutely.
I will be by soon to buy some of these beers because
Fantastic.
they've been worth drinking for sure. So, Ryan, thank you for having me here tonight, and guys, it was again, thanks for having me. Really,
It's good to
really.
meet you,
Our
man.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
all
out. We
the work
appreciate
that
you
do.
listening to us talking about beer, and keep the good citizens of Park Ridge safe every night.
You're
Thank you
definitely
again.
invited back. We'll all crack the same Dark Lord next time. I'm sure we
Very
all
good.
got the same bottle.
Very good.
Fun. Yeah.
I will adjourn. Good night, gentlemen. You take everybody home.
Take care.
All right,
Thanks a lot.
cheers.
Have a good night.
Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, PBR coffee.
Yeah, for those that are still hanging around, I'll probably shotgun one of those next week just for fun. So be ready. Because that's what we're all about here. Fun, fun, fun. I think I'm done with the coupe. I'm going back to here. It's all stout.
I'm gonna delete my Facebook account after reading all this. I'm just gonna delete it entirely.
Good thing I can't read.
I can't ever go back to Facebook again after that.
Pictures.
It ruined it for me.
Is this blog? There's some good. We. Okay. I like it. We gotta keep this up.
We're having fun. That was cool. I've never met the mayor before. You guys obviously have a number of times. I never met him.
I met him pre-mayor, which is
when he was just
great.
alderman.
And
Wait, Ryan, what'd you just say?
he was alderman.
When he was just alderman.
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 Gotcha.
Maloney.
But yeah, Art Maloney's fantastic. His family's amazing. Great people. Living in Park Ridge, and I was happy to meet him and happy to be of help for them. And he's been great in his role as mayor. So I've always known he's a good beer drinker. So I was stoked. I think Ryan told me yesterday he was going to be on. So I was.
When they talk about when they talk about people
happy.
that are people in positions, political positions, it's like, oh, is that the kind of guy you want to have a beer with? It's like, well, you can see he's a good guy to have a beer with.
It's when he was talking about his dad coming over, or whichever family member that was, and asking, which beer can I drink? I'm sure his fridge is loaded with good stuff. And I feel the same way. Like, I feel bad. Like, if I had a couple people over that don't care about craft beer, like, I don't know what I would give them right now. I got, like, some hot butcher in there. I got some sours. I don't have anything too simple. I should probably change that. But he's a great guy and good palate. And like I said, he was super kind to me. And for Christmas one year, he was like, "Here's some beer for you. Here's some Zombie Dust." This is 2014, back when it was hype.
Yeah, he probably had to drive down there and open up his car to get
Yeah, for sure. And he gave me a couple bombers too, and I was over the moon about it. I was like, stand-up guy. Happy to have him. So.
Nice. Ryan, are you alone in the store?
I am alone in the store.
Were you alone in the store when we started?
I was, yeah.
How's the store look? Pretty good?
Looks all right.
All right.
It's never.
I'm going to bring some fresh coffee beans tomorrow, so that should help.
It's never quite up to. I mean, but at the same time, it doesn't matter anymore.
As long as people can find what they got to find, I guess.
On the internet.
That's a nice feature, right, of the internet. Like the fact that the entire inventory and the ordering is available on the website. People call a lot. They want to know if we're out of something or whatever. But I mean, it's tied directly to our inventory. So if you go to the website and you try to order something, it'll tell you if it's sold out or not. You can see right then and there if we're out of it already. So that's kind of a cool feature. It's almost like a little sneak peek.
As long as the actual numbers are correct.
Right. There's room for error. Of course, things could go wrong, but generally speaking, it's like, it's a little window into our inventory.
And how badly we don't really manage it that well.
We try our best. I mean,
now that
there's
it's
going to
single
be
cans, single bottles. Come on, it's going to be
True,
great.
things-
Nobody's
yeah.
drinking on site.
yeah.
It should
I
get a
feel
lot better
strongly
after that.
there's going to be a learning curve. Well, not a learning curve, but a catch-up curve with our transition and making sure that we iron out all the the kinks. But yeah, we're trying to do our best, and we apologize if we are out of something, and we appreciate your patience. Put it that way.
All right. Well, good news. I think I finally got rid of the trolls, and I finally deleted all their comments, so I can come back to hanging out with
I hadn't been appreciated like that in a long time. I was really
you. I
excited.
know. I'm actually kind of complimented that we had some people come in and just try to bomb our chat messages here.
Right, you're not going to troll. Right, if nobody's watching, you're not going to bother trolling.
That's what I'm saying. We made it.
Nobody on there. That means we made it. Yeah.
3 weeks we made
Right.
it. Just we peaked already.
Time. You don't get trolls for nothing.
But yeah, Matt, you can indeed order hard liquor through the store. We
I saw
are
that question.
right behind me right now. We are in the process. We just finished our wine. We're in the process of right behind me is all the liquor that we have in the store, plus a few more boxes in back. But we're getting all that added shortly, so those will also be available through the website as well.
Totally. You can always give us a call right now. I mean, if you're just looking like for bourbon, it's not like we have 50 different types of bourbon. Maybe someday, but if you're looking for something specific, until we get that up, you can give us a call. We're happy to help you there. But yeah, liquor sales going strong, and I know I've sold a couple bottles, and sometimes beer doesn't cut it. Speaking of nightcaps,
I'm gonna go.
Blanton's.
You're gonna have them Blanton's for? That's gonna be your
I
nightcap?
don't. You know what? This is 10%. I gotta finish this first. Probably not.
I have been.
It's hard for me. Like, if I'm going to drink anything else, I have 4 beers. Well, no, I guess I have 2 left, but still, like, I can't open anything else while the beers are still open.
Yeah.
I gotta finish those first before I warrant opening something else.
I was just telling Ryan a story of going back in the day, quite a few years ago, going out on a date to a Mexican restaurant and getting some food and getting frozen margaritas, and absolutely downed my first one. And I was like, am I gonna get a second one? Like, feels like a lot, but I feel like I can do it. And I was like, you know what? Never done it before, so you gotta try. And I got another one, and it was one of those things, like, there wasn't much left, but I had no room in the tank. I was like, I don't leave things behind, but I cannot be the hero. You can't be the hero.
Yeah, it's time.
I will never forget it. Number 2 was a mistake. Second margarita.
Wait, so did you finish the date?
No.
The date?
Oh, yeah. Date was fine. I just didn't finish the margarita.
Okay. All right. You finished
Margarita was disappointing. That was
Gotcha. Yeah, you gotta know when to call it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was trying to be a hero.
All right, talk amongst yourselves. Bathroom break. I'm gonna find something to.
Wait, I have to go to the bathroom. I thought we were just gonna wrap it up. I was waiting for you to wrap it up.
Oh,
I have to go to the bathroom too.
I gotta go real bad. So you guys talk for like a couple seconds.
Okay, I gotta go too. All right.
Yeah. I was gonna say it. I have to go too. But yeah,
there it
it's
is.
just like I mean, trolls probably got to go too.
Even trolls.
Even trolls got to go. That's hilarious. I only read a couple of comments. I wish we'll have to have a post-stream meeting to discuss.
Yeah, at first I figured it was just sort of like regular customers being a little saucy, but I was like, no, these guys probably.
Because we love that.
You wouldn't say those things if you were ever planning to show your face in the store again. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, no, we like the local banter for sure. That gets us going. But trolls, like real trolls, like what time we'll be here.
Really do.
We're all about it. We're gonna have to get a moderator. We'll have to get one of our
Moderator.
just to be monitoring, making sure we only look good. Yeah, that guy was way off with his. I'm gonna find something better for a lookalike for you. For anyone out there, for the record, I've already heard this, but whoever the actor is in New Amsterdam, I've heard it. I get it. I don't see it. Dude has
Oh, that
blue
guy.
eyes.
Oh,
He has
that guy.
blue eyes. He's got a beard like this. More than that, I don't get it. Maybe
That
it's
guy.
mannerisms or something, but I've heard it from so many people. We get it. All right. Don't tell me because I don't care. Right, Ryan?
I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know his name.
I was not prepared for that. I wasn't ready to start. I had to figure out how to kick people out and ban people from the page.
I was gonna say we're gonna need a moderator.
Yeah, we need a moderator. We're too big. We're too big in this town.
We grew too big too quick.
You put the mayor on. You put the mayor on one show, and everybody just wants a piece.
Did it get political? I missed it.
No,
Oh, it didn't. I'm just saying when I see trolls, I assume that sooner or later that's going to be that's going to be their goal.
You can't give them that much time because then they'll go there.
my cuvee ended up like a light amber ale.
Extremely sexual.
Yeah, mine's darker. Wait, mine's darker. Mine's like a brown ale. Or barley wine.
Mine's still the fourth beer.
Mine's an English barley wine there. Well, I'm double fist.
Oh man.
I put this down though. I'm not cuvee. Wasn't doing it for me. Not a good week.
And sorry, I stopped paying attention to the YouTube chat for a while. I know Scott is over here hanging out,
Hey, Scott.
and he's asking for kegerator recommendations. I recommend Micromatic has a really nice one.
I might need one soon.
They typically only sell them to you as single tappers, which I think it's worth the investment to try and grab a 2-tapper right off the bat.
Double. Yeah.
3 if you're feeling ambitious. Like usually you can get the ones that fit like 1 half barrel or 3 sixtels. I have never had much luck fitting 3 sixtels into those things. It just doesn't. You have to be very, very accurate to get 3 in there. So I think 2 is a good number.
Can you fit 2 quarters?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Right? Okay. I'm intrigued.
So yeah, if you need a kegerator, if you get one, please let us know. We have lots of kegs we would like to sell you. Especially since you're
Absolutely.
into barrel-aged beers. We have a lot of barrel-aged beers we would love for you to have at home, for you to drink over the next 4.5 months, because that's how long it will take a home. At least if I put it at my house, it would take 6 months.
You got time. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I would ever even reach for that tap. When I did have things on drafts at home, I often had to wait so long to transition because it was usually just me. Maybe I need more friends.
Debatable.
I think all the cuvées up to this one were pretty good. This one I don't know if I love.
Not feeling it. No.
It's and I think
fine.
this is the issue right here. This is adding a lot of just like resiny, like hoppy matter to this whole
Not very
thing that I think would
balanced
otherwise be
impressive.
pretty good. We got wives drinking tipas. We got Justin Verlander call outs. What else we got here? That's it. Just our main trolls.
We like our main trolls, MA, like Main Street. We should make T-shirts.
Main Street is all about them main trolls.
Main trolls.
Oh, Chris is offering to moderate. We can make that happen.
That's what I'm saying. Feels good to attract such hostile trolls.
But then, oh my gosh! But then I'm also looking at pictures of. Sorry about that. Sorry.
That was loud.
Wife is sending pictures of the daughter. You know that's gonna take precedence.
Is she sleeping? Is it like a sleeping picture? Or
I don't know what's going on in this picture. Seems like she peed her pants or something. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if you can see that.
I've seen you do that actually.
I don't know what she's doing there.
That's a slouch lean. That's a power lean right there.
She's like,
Mhm.
What's it gonna take to get you in this car?
Yeah. When you gonna buy me some French fries?
Wait, so like, why? What did? I'm assuming she spilled something on herself. Did she pee herself?
Speaking of, it's my turn.
Those are not her pants. Usually whenever there's something terribly goes wrong at daycare, when she comes back in somebody else's clothes, that means something terrible has gone wrong. Wait, now what are you eating? Are we snacking? I didn't realize we're snacking. We're having some snacks?
The chocolate chip banana muffin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anytime adult or child, anytime anybody comes, goes one place and then comes back and has different clothes on, something happened. That's a fact.
What's happening?
You're talking about anytime someone goes somewhere and then returns wearing a different outfit than the one they, left in, there's been a problem. And that goes for adults too.
Right, well, it's my daughter, when she went to daycare, she was wearing different clothes. And, usually she has, clothes that we send with her that she comes back in, her own clothes, and it's like, oh, yeah, there was an accident, here you go. But these are not even her clothes.
So that suggests that even the secondary set of clothes was burned through?
Right, either that or we didn't provide them, or I'm just a terrible father and didn't realize that we actually own that shirt. So my wife's going to tell me shortly. Yep. Yeah. Whoops. That is not her shirt. But there was an incident. And with that, Facebook views have just gone down to
No one wants to be reminded of how bad they're doing at parenting right now.
Yeah. No
one wants to be reminded of that. They come here for an escape, and then you reminded them of how bad they are.
No, listen, I'll guarantee that I'm doing worse. My Cuvade, it wasn't everything I hoped for.
It's probably weird, right?
It's the Tippa. I think Tippa's ruining everything for us.
Oh yeah,
You feel like the other ones would work pretty well together?
Yeah, you're just adding a little more wheat. You're adding some spiciness, and you're adding everything else kind of should work well. And I think that the Tippa's making me very sleepy, and also
blame it on the Tippa.
Get some topo in you, dang.
It's not a bad idea.
That might be my nightcap.
Topo? I found a couple bottles of wine that were opened at Off the Wall. That might be my nightcap.
Uh-oh.
They were only opened a month and a half ago. I'm sure they're great.
Yeah. Did they have the right cork in them?
They did. They did have the right cork in them, so they've at least been vacuum sealed. So that'll help for 7 weeks of that aging instead of 8 months of that, or 8 weeks of that aging.
Mm-hmm.
Only one way to find out, and they're both Chardonnays.
Yeah. Not right now. Maybe tomorrow.
Probably vinegar more than anything right now.
We've had that problem. Yeah.
Doesn't sound good.
See, look, Tim, Chris, James, and maybe Jonathan left, but we got 3 strong, still listening here.
Yeah. Think about signing off, but not anymore.
Chris is very excited for me to try this wine, so I'm going to go get this wine for a nightcap and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a nightcap.
I have to jump through the window, so if you hear a loud crash, that's me falling through the window of my other store.
Should we call anyone?
Yeah, listen, if anybody wants to jump on with us.
Yeah, wine game.
Oh, Chris Altman says hot, buttery Chardonnay, and then he says, now I sound like a troll.
Oh, man, a buttery Chardonnay. That's not for me.
Hot buttered Chardonnay.
Yeah. Hot. I prefer. Could you microwave this? Could you put the heat gun on it? I prefer it a little warmer than, colder. Some people put ice in their white wine. I heat it up.
Yeah, I've heard that's a thing. That's what I got here. These beers are all gone. I only have 1 beer left, and it's number 2. I have half of number 2 left. I finished 1, 3, and 4.
Dude, I will not be finishing number 2 because I'm serious. It's not my style. It's fine. But I'm gonna finish number 1. I finished 3, and that'll probably be it. I did throw a bourbon county in the fridge, but I'm not.
No, it's not a good idea.
I also dug up quite a few of my Revolution cans, and they're enticing.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that one with the mannequins. That one's real striking.
This is Orin Swift's Mannequin. This is a California winery. Chardonnay.
I think we tasted that one at our last staff meeting.
So many moons ago.
Pretty good, if I remember correctly. I have to get the Wit Beer.
This is not proper glassware. I'm working at a beer store and I have wine, so this is not going to work. But that is, I mean, the color of that has definitely changed. That is definitely a little bit more like orange, orange green.
Yeah. How many socks do you smell? There. Oh, okay. That's good.
This is a hot buttery Chardonnay. Yep.
Stop.
That's a hot
Was
buttery
that in
Chardonnay.
the fridge?
I pulled it out of the fridge when I saw it when I was moving stuff over earlier, and I saw that and I was like, oh, that shouldn't be here. That we should have drank that at the staff meeting when we just drank through all the wine that was left over that was already
Yeah,
open.
we drank through a lot of wine that
We
night.
drank through a lot of. I have to say, I'm very proud of my staff for drinking through basically every single bottle of open wine that we had.
Yeah.
Also, people were stressed. People were stress drinking too, though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, people were being
Doesn't
told
mean
they
we
were
didn't do it.
people were being furloughed, so they took it well enough by drinking a lot of
Yeah.
wine.
People are like, "Well, I'm definitely gonna at least get this bottle out of the deal."
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that
got a
one's-
good decaf.
That one's not any good anymore. But
Yeah, that mannequin beer struck me because it looks so crazy.
this next one, this is Big Table Farm. The Wild Bee. This is a Chardonnay as well. That smells terrible. And again, these are not reviews of these actual wines. These wines have been sitting over next door for 2 months, opened. So I do not use these as words like for reviews of anything.
We're just having fun. We're just having fun here.
Yeah, this
Got my
smells like.
nightcap.
Here's your nightcap. That's a good nightcap. This smells like sewer gas and
nice.
swamps.
Wait, what was the second thing?
Chris
Sewer
is
gas
saying
and
Sewer
what?
gas, swamps.
Swamps.
Is it sulfur? Like sulfury?
No, not sulfury. It's very earthy.
Organic.
Yeah, this kind of.
Used to troll around some swamps myself.
Did you? I didn't realize you were such a swamp boy.
Some people call me. It's me and my old job.
There's a lot of like gasoline in here.
Actual gas.
Gasoline, vanilla, swamps. I'm really selling it to you. This has been
Yeah,
open for 2
Vanilla
months.
swamps.
Sign me up. I'm going to get in my car and drive over.
The vanilla's getting stronger, and that's making it better. It's kind of like vanilla gasoline. Like I'm pumping gas, but also
Oh, you
making,
said vanilla, so
but
I'm
also
in.
making cake at the same time.
Yeah, Josh is already in.
I'm in.
Old. Say no more. Say no more.
I said the B word. I'm in.
He's old.
So Matt, you still running a posse on Red Dead?
I've only played Red Dead a couple times. The my other buddies who play my college buddies who play the Division 2, and then have recently started playing Borderlands 3.
Good call.
It's a bigger group, and so there's always a couple of them on every night, and that one's been harder to resist, and so I've been on that a little more often.
I can't blame you, man. I bought Division 2. I've been playing it with my brother, but we've been sidetracked with some other games.
Mostly done with that one. I think we moved on to Borderlands 3 for the most part now, which is pretty cool. Like the art design is awesome.
If you want a good laugh, I've never laughed harder than watching or playing some Borderlands game.
But I also don't see Eric. I don't see Tyler much anymore. I miss those guys. It'd be fun. It is fun to get with them and get a posse going.
Yeah.
So
I know Mike. I've been talking with Mike. We're gonna hop on some Halo. Eventually, probably this week we'll have to figure out a time. But yeah, we've got a lot of gamers for sure.
Yeah, like a beer on the wall, customers versus employees thing going on.
Oh man, Not to mention
So technically.
Matt Murray. Get Matt Murray on the custom.
Matt Murray
Matt Murray
in a
today?
fighting game. I'm terrified, actually. I've seen video.
I need Matt Murray to get back down here and take care of these trolls.
I think Matt Murray as moderator terrifies me. I'm in.
This is terrible, by the way. This is awful. This is.
I'm down. Stop it.
I'll leave it over here for you if you want to try it tomorrow, Josh, when you're in.
Yeah.
But Chris
I'll
Altman, if you
swing
want to.
by at one in the afternoon. Sip some gasoline.
And Chris, if you want to make this into vinegar, I'm all in. I think this would be a delicious vinegar.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, this is why you don't age your wines when they've been opened. Because it's terrible.
Don't open it till you're ready. It is interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's worth. I think it's worth talking about with wine, but obviously there's some similarities, but it's quite different than beer. But even with my wife, like opening up a bottle of wine, and she knows her wine very well, and she'll revisit it the next day, even after back to sealing and all that. And like, it's just not. It's already changed after 24 hours. Being opened up to oxygen and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy.
Holds up better than beer, though. I mean, let's be honest about it. Holds up better than beer. At least it's not that dependent on CO2. In most cases anyway. Most wines,
yes.
like beer is. So I'd rather, if you just without seeing what type it is or whatever, like I would definitely rather have a wine 24 hours later than beer.
Yeah, I agree. But it is interesting how it can, depending on what it is, how it can depreciate pretty rapidly, or even, beer, they're never shy about letting you consume this fresh, like drink it, stop, just drink it.
You say they're never shy, but I feel like for a while, they were shy. I feel like there was a period of time where people were cellaring everything because a couple of beers cellared nicely, a couple of bourbon counties and some other stuff, and people went crazy with the cellaring. And the breweries, I feel like, for the most part, kind of stood back and said, "Oh, this is good for business."
Yeah.
Not that they knew that it wouldn't be good in a few years, but they didn't know it would be good. I feel like they just sort of were like, "Who knows what this will be like in a few years?"
I feel like a good example.
Stocking up, let's let them do it. And then now, more and more often, as people realize that some of the cellared beers aren't the greatest, I think people are a little more.
I found that out the hard way too. Yeah, I know Half Acre came out and said, like, we brew our beers to be consumed. Like, we don't recommend aging, and it's a good cover in case your beer goes to garbage after 6 months and people get mad. So, yeah, we told you to drink it, not to sit on it.
No,
but
totally.
Even I'm not afraid to call out because Revolution has been doing some great stuff, but the VSOD, the fresh batch was cool, and I still had some cans from, I guess it was 2 years ago, 2017. I was surprised. I did not find them super enjoyable. Like, I thought they still drank fine, but overall was kind of boring. And I had 2 cans of that, and I was like, why? What's the point of sitting on this for 2 years if nothing gets improves or the change is for the worse?
I mean, it was, for a while it was good for the industry because everybody kind of overbought, and I get that. But I think now people are a little more straightforward about that and just sort of saying, like, look, we recommend drinking it fresh. We're designing the beer for what it tastes like now. Not saying it won't taste good in a year, but we don't know, and we're not going to put our stamp on it, But Ryan and Josh and I all have cellars. Like, it's fun to cellar beers and see what they taste like in a few years. So, like, we're all about that. But I think we've learned that, for the most part, like, see which breweries kind of hold up over time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? See which beers hold up over time. If you want to experiment here and there, that's cool. But, we've learned the hard way.
Brewery does matter.
If you just overdo it, you can have too many beers in the cellar. You can pull them out, too many years later and be disappointed.
Yeah. Totally.
So, have occasions in mind, have people in mind you want to share them with, and find reasons to
totally agree
that stuff.
Well, and we don't. We're kind of out of an age of 22 or 750, 22 ounce, 750 milliliter bottles being the main vessel that these things come in.
Right.
Buy a 4-pack of 12-ounce cans and drink one every 6 months and see what the difference is.
It's a lot easier now.
Keep yourself familiar with the beer, and when it does do a nosedive and become kind of bad, or maybe it does hold up for 2 years and it's just got that longevity.
On Saturday I did Saturday I did a KBS vertical by myself.
I saw it happen.
Matt watched that happen.
I saw it on the internet. It must be true.
It really was. I have the bottles in my recycling bin to prove it. I did a 2014 to 2018, and I have to say, 2014 through 2016 was really good. 2017 was acceptable, and 18 was not good.
So weird.
So just and then think breweries and then things that you knew from the past that say oh, you can age this, and this does some really interesting and fun things in a given year too. You get a new process or a new thing going on, and then all of a sudden your beers don't age as well as they used to. Bourbon County taught us very well. All you need is one bug in the tank, and the whole thing's messed up.
2015.
But apart from that, not much ages as well as Bourbon County. Not many beers out there.
No, there's a few. I mean, Worldwide Stout.
Worldwide Stout
is one that.
You were just talking about Bigfoot.
Bigfoot is one that I don't know if I like it aged or even regular.
Oh boy! Listen, I'm not saying there aren't any examples. I'm just saying
I'm a bad beer store owner in that regards. I should never. You're not allowed to say anything bad about Bigfoot and about Sierra Nevada, but that beer is too much for me. It's stupid.
It's unique.
I don't get it. And I know some people.
I don't love it either.
Some hoppy people will be like, "Oh my god, it's just the resiniest thing. It lingers on your tongue for years and stuff like that." And I get it. It's a thing. I don't. And I've had 2014 Bigfoot 5 years old and stuff, and it's still really hard for me to drink any of those. It's a unique, crazy beer. I will give it that. It is very unique. You will never find anything like Bigfoot, but no thanks. Behemoth is kind of in the same boat, but I think Behemoth is a little bit more drinkable. From Lloyd's, it's.
I'll give you that.
But yeah, Bigfoot, no thanks. Never.
Yeah. Reminds me of Vito, who's a regular and was in the chat earlier.
He's watching now.
He's back.
He's back. Good.
He's listening.
He brought in a really old black note. I want to say 2012, and this was sometime last year. He brought it in. It was part of a trade he did, and we were all kind of going into it. We were like, oh, I don't know, how good could it be? And it was phenomenal. It was we were all blown away. It made me excited to have, Black Note in my cellar. Not that I need to age it that long or that I'll get the exact same result. It's a different vintage. It's a newer vintage. But just know that the potential was there. It was delightful, really. It was super good for, just a standard barrel-aged stout, nothing in it. Good time.
Ryan, remember at Great Taste in the Midwest 4 or 5 years ago, remember Bell's had a big pirate ship set up in one of the corners, and they brought batch 1,000, batch 2,000, batch 3,000, batch 4,000, all the way up through batch 10,000. But they brought batch 1,000 and had pours of that available, and it wasn't terrible.
Yeah,
it was it's impressive. Yeah. Bell's is they're they don't ride too many trends, and it's been a while since they've come out with something that sort of wowed people. But at the same time, you can open their beers a few years later and be pretty safe. In a lot of cases, it's impressive.
Yeah, there's some breweries that had some brewing techniques from a while ago that stand the test of time.
Yeah.
I have the oldest things in my basement now are mostly goose and wild fermentations, and I think only a couple of years ago we had a 2019 oud goose from Bone, and that was
2019 to 2009.
2009, yeah, and that was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, it was good.
It just tasted like it was dry. There was no sugar left in that beer whatsoever. It was just one of the driest beers I've ever had. And it's available on the shelf. You can just pick one up and let it sit in your cellar for a few years and get some really fun stuff out of it. It kind of tasted like cotton candy and bubble gum, and it was so effervescent and it was awesome. Like farmhouse, like cotton candy you would get in a farm. Like if you went to like one of those places that has like the pumpkin patch and has like all these rides and like everything smells like horses no matter what you do. That's what it
dirty,
like.
dirty.
I think cotton candy on a farm is known as a sheep. That's what a sheep is.
You were licking a sheep. Is
You're
actually what
licking
you're
a
doing.
sheep,
You were
I think.
licking
Yeah.
an actual sheep.
I do love licking sheep.
Just a good woolly wisp of a sheep.
I changed my nightcap from terrible open wine to microphone dropped off a little bit of their 5-year barrel-aged thing here.
Wait. I'm sorry, what?
He's still
they
drinking
drop
the microphone.
Microphone dropped off a sneak preview of their 5-year barrel-aged beer. Sorry, Matt.
Is he missing much?
Does it help? Does it help that it's
Worth the risk.
Is it?
I'm coming in.
Does it help that it's amazing? Does that do anything for you?
Helps
Does
that
it
it
make
is
worse
amazing.
or better? It's pretty amazing.
It's pretty good.
That's the 5-year beer.
It's 5-year beer, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what you
About
will
that.
be around for is Eat to the Beat Barrel Aged.
Excited about that. That's gonna be great.
This fall.
I've always
I'll
loved
put
it.
this
Yeah,
cup-
microphones barrel aging stuff is great.
I'll put this cup on the back porch with all of
Okay.
my germs, and you can either get
Is
it
that
or
the cup
not.
you drink out of?
Fight the raccoons.
Either you or the 8 remaining people in this chat can come pick it up.
Sounds good.
The deal.
Yeah, no, I wanted to try that one. I bet it's good.
Yeah.
Chris Altman says MP can't handle missing out.
This is
Vito-
true.
Vito also got a copy, and he says it's really good as well.
It's a good problem.
It's very chocolatey.
I did comment on a microphone post yesterday because they talked about their newest release with the brewery. It's not Icky Thump. It's it's barrel aged Icky Thump, which is
really?
coming out soon. And I loved Icky Thump, so I'm excited about that. But then I commented on it and said, "Hey, what are the chances of getting Sticky Chunk here in Illinois? Because that's the brewery version. They added marshmallows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The sticky maple.
And it's called Sticky Chunk, and it's the marshmallow version of Icky Thump. And I haven't gotten a response yet, but that's the current quest I'm on, is to find that out.
Next time Mike's in the store, because Mike delivers all of his own beer.
He does.
He just walks into the back door. It's
He's
like,
a local,
what's
so
up, Mike Palin?
Definitely would be the one to ask. He probably knows.
We'll ask him if
Or
any
Nick.
sticky.
Nick's in there sometimes.
Yeah, Nick's
Nick
in there
could
as well.
answer that.
how many seconds we can get Milo on camera. He's not a camera guy, but
Yeah,
He's not a camera guy.
But usually I feel like you put pets up in front of a screen, and I feel like they look everywhere except at the screen. But that cat looked right into the camera, and that's not
he's
usually what
not
they do.
stupid.
everywhere
He's
else.
just not into it. You know.
He's just not that into you.
He's
It's not an any of them.
he's into food and names
Me too.
and whatever.
Yeah.
He's playing with something right now.
Chris Altman says kitty, all caps.
Saltman's not wrong most of the time.
He says his bottles are gone. Bottles of what?
This bottle's
the
a 5-year
5-year.
beer.
Yeah, I want to try that one.
I think they released it on today? Or the weekend?
Wait, what?
When did they release the 5-year beer?
Oh, a few weeks ago.
Oh, they
Month
did?
ago.
I thought it just came
Yeah,
out.
maybe 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh.
It was for their anniversary. Remember, it was the same day as Swaff.
Oh, well, I'm not drinking an advanced copy of Microphone's 5-year
You're
beer. I'm
drinking
drinking a 5-year
No,
beer.
this is a postscript.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're an afterthought.
That's fine. I'll be an afterthought as long as free beer keeps coming.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll bet that beer's great.
That's a cool bottle too. So the bottle we got was unlabeled, but it's the same black bottle, but it has like a blue print on it.
Oh, they've been doing the matted bottle thing.
It's badass. That looks awesome.
That barrel-aged
Blend of 5
one-man
different
wrecking
barrel.
machine was awesome.
That's pretty good. Yeah, ours is
Yeah, look at that.
faster.
Okay. All right.
There might be a genie in there. You don't know what Mike's doing over there.
Is that what the kids call it, a genie?
It's a genie. It's a
I don't know
genie
what
ale.
kids
There's actually no beer in here. It's just only genies.
Oh, genie. Bean genies.
My first wish is for everyone to drink all the old KBS in my cellar. Somebody do it, not me.
If you had 3 wishes, you'd waste a whole wish on that, on getting someone to come drink your KBS.
I made good progress. I think I only have about like 12 left.
Not bad.
That's awesome.
I had a 4-year bird.
I'm only on F. Okay, I've been working my way through the alphabet, so I went through numbers
That makes sense.
and all the way to F, and now I'm at F. And Founders has just been. It's not been easy to get through the Founders section.
Let me
What,
know.
you
Let
got
me
Goose
know. Let me
Island
know when
next
it's.
then, huh?
Let me know when it's bolt cutter day. I'll be over in a second.
I don't have a bolt cutter. If I had a bolt cutter, I would just give it to you and be like, "Cool, please help."
So
Drink
Goose
a little,
Island
wax
next.
your floors a little. Drink some more. Wax some floors.
We're gonna get to H. There's a couple of big hugs that I don't want to drink that are gonna be there for a little while, and then we glide through most of it. Like it's pretty good up until we get to Rev, and then when we get to Rev, we have a lot of terrible decisions to make.
I just put my. Oh no, I didn't. I have a 2016 straight jacket. I think I'm still sitting on, but I did put a 2016 Parabola in the fridge today. It's gonna get drank.
That's good.
It's gonna be
It's
good.
gonna get drank.
My
I'm very
Firestone, I say Founders is hard to get through. My Firestone I actually skipped over because it's always good. Firestone's a brewery where
Oh yeah.
I will drink a 2019 Parabola in 2039 and it will still taste the exact same
Yeah.
it did in 2019.
Parabola. I was lucky enough. Speaking of with ABV Chicago, I a raffle during their anniversary party. I won a 2011, and I drank it in 2018. So a 7-year-old beer, 7 plus, and it was phenomenal. And I even drank it side by side with one of the fresher 12-ounce bottles, and I feel like I preferred the older one. Like
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
the flavor profiles are pretty different, but I mean 7 years.
You guys are
what can you expect?
you guys are all safe over there in your houses, but Vito says he's now going to keep his Lizard of Kaz until we're all available and to drink it, and he's going to make us drink his Lizard of Kaz.
Drink that beer. Fresh was very interesting for me. That was
You can say it, Josh. It was a cupcake. It was a literal.
God, that's the one I reference all the time, where temperature matters. I drink that thing cold. I hated it, and it warmed up, and I thought it was awesome. But I don't know about
What?
aging it.
No way, man. I like sweet beers. I like really sweet beers. I can't do that one.
That one was like a chocolate chip cookie.
No, that one, like
Chocolate chip
Brew
cookie is a
Floyd,
blueberry cookie.
It's like too far.
Oh
It's
no,
too
it's
far.
terrible. Too much. You can probably still buy a Lizard of Kaz off the shelf at some liquor stores for $4.
Dude, well,
Sure.
the way
Like
I got it,
Armanetti's or
the
something.
Whole Foods by me.
Do they still
two
have it
things. One, they had it on draft.
on draft?
Two, yeah, they had it on draft, dude. And then two, they had it on the shelf, but they had the price wrong. And so I picked up a bottle. It was like $15.
If they're charging you anything that's a positive number, the price is wrong.
But I picked it up, and I knew the woman that worked the craft beer section, and I was like, no, I would double check your price, because they just kind of like copy and pasted it based off of a different Founders beer, and it was way off. It was like $8 off, and sure enough, the next time it came through, it was back up to like $20+.
Vito wants to know if you drank your New Glarus Nectar. Where'd it go? Nectar Ale.
The Nectar one,
Yeah.
awesome. I mean,
Good. That's a Vito.
yeah, stone fruit to the max. It was unreal. It was definitely sweet, super fruity, big. I like big stone fruit notes. It was definitely enjoyable. So thank you. It was really good. Yeah. So Vito and and Matt Bustamante stopped in, and I think it was on Thursday when we were getting. Oh no, it was before. It was when we were still open because they came in the store. So anyway, it was a busy day, and I was like, man, I could really shotgun a Moon Man. And Matt's like, I'll get you a Moon Man. So they went out and grabbed me a Moon Man, and I shotgunned it, and then we enjoyed the peach beer later, and it was a good day.
I'm out of Moon Man.
I love a Moon Man.
Our viewership is still rising. As long as it's going, we can't quit. As long as it's going up, we're up to 10 now.
I'll keep
Went from 8
drinking
to 10.
Oh,
in the
no,
past
it's back
couple minutes.
down to 8. Back down to 8.
Oh, back down to 8. 2 people just stumbled in accidentally. We're like, wait, wrong chat room.
Oh yeah.
I
Sorry.
heard
I
there
didn't
was
want to troll
going to be.
this chat.
Our main
Yeah, I heard there was
trolls.
going to be guys with beards and bald heads getting spooched on. It turns out I have the wrong chat room.
Yeah, only 1/3 of them. That's funny.
You know.
What a weird day.
Oh, back up to 9. Okay.
Hey!
Welcome.
Welcome to this. You're a little late, but
You're,
best beer
Not too late to pour all 4 of your beers into one glass.
with melodic.
That's right.
If you're
Catch
me,
up with us.
if you're everybody
You're
else in
lucky
the
I'll
chat,
wrangle a cat.
it's Power Tippa.
Huh?
What is going on in this? What is going on in this thing? He looks like he's like tearing a gold
You know what
brick
that
in half.
reminds me of? Do you remember in
He's giving a headlock to a pillow? He's
I
tearing
Is it a
pillow
vanilla?
apart.
He's giving
He's
it a
tearing it.
vanilla
It's a book,
pillow
yeah.
rip.
Oh, it's a book. There's this book on the side. Here's the
Yeah.
book there, and then
like
there
a book
he's
and
tearing
then
it.
half book?
And then there's
tearing
that book in half.
It reminds me in one of the Avenger movies when Captain America splits a log in half just by doing
Okay.
this. It's like, whoa, we get it.
This is Canton, Connecticut. I still have to say I don't
I
quite
saw that,
understand.
and I was going to bring it up.
Yo, why go from
Contract
Krebs,
brewery.
Oklahoma, all the way
It's
to Connecticut?
12%. Maybe it's contract brewed like Octopi.
Yeah, but
It
that's
must
so
be.
far.
It doesn't seem like someone's gonna take a tanker from.
I don't know. It is weird.
Someone
Yeah,
else
up to
saying
10
it.
viewers again, guys.
Oh snap! They're back.
Gotta keep that
Double
content
dish.
going.
Double dish. That's what's up.
We are 3 hours in.
Yeah.
3 hours in.
We were really slow on the first beer tonight, for sure. But then we actually caught up, and we did open the third one just after 90 minutes. So,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
spent a lot of time talking
Well,
about
listen, we talked
the
about
stuff. the stuff.
some COVID stuff, which is not the funnest, but you know what? It's the mayor. You know,
yeah, it's not every day you have the mayor on your tasting.
gotta talk about it. So
Tim
I wanted
Wolf
to say
says,
that, like, speaking of a wit, like over and over again, just throw it in there when it didn't make any sense. But I held that tongue as long as I could.
Tim says
What?
ripping apart a phone book, but I like to envision Tim is actually at home right now, like ripping apart a phone book.
I could see Tim
he's
doing that.
attempting. I could see him doing that.
Wait, Josh, what were you saying about the wit? I missed it. I didn't understand what you were saying.
Oh, I was the speaking of a wit, like transitioning to the second beer. I was like waiting to like throw that in. It just kept going and going. Just like I wanted to throw that in, even completely out of context. But next time.
Yeah.
Feeling crispy.
You got a koozie and everything. Jeez.
Yeah, so I did. Alarmus is doing online ordering, and they got a saison coming out on Friday, so that should be fun.
To the 9 people that are still watching us on Facebook, and maybe the 3 on YouTube. I can't see how many on YouTube. It's probably like 1,000. What is everyone else? What is everyone else having for your nightcap? Please put it up there.
What are you sipping on?
What you working on here?
What you sipping now?
What you
What you
sipping
sipping on, girl?
Tell me what you're sipping now. It's an Usher line, right?
That's
I'm loving
very.
the club.
You had a lot of Usher.
Tell me
essence
what
in
you're
you.
sipping now.
Matt told me about Lizzo. I didn't realize what it was.
Oh, really?
Like Saturday. My wife had told me what Lizzo was and like it played me songs, but I didn't realize it.
It's a thing.
And Nat told me, he's like, no, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's not just a thing. It's a thing.
You work so hard. You don't like watch SNL or anything.
Well, it's not just a thing. It's not. I mean, some things are just things where you have to like know about them, but they're memes. And you just have to know about them for a second, but you don't have to really commit them to memory because they'll be gone next week. But Lizzo is a thing that's here to stay, I think. And I wanted Ryan to know. It's like a real cultural. It's like an important moment.
We were talking about microphones dripping so much sauce, and I was like, man, it's a terrible name for a beer. It's just gross. I understand it's a.
You were not loving it even from the beginning.
But then
Ryan,
he forced me to listen.
Can you reply to our YouTube comments? Someone wants to know how we choose these 4 beers. Bottom line is we get the fresh stuff. So we wait. So like this week, the next couple days, we'll see what comes in, and we'll pick 4 like a nice variety, and we'll be drinking that 1 week from now.
Yeah, I mean, I choose the 4 beers, and I generally, I think when I first started working here, I kind of got to taste everything that came in the door and got to try everything and make some tasting notes. And now that I don't get to do that as much, now that I have to do all sorts of fun administrative things like running payroll and keeping the lights on and paying bills and stuff, I don't get to try as much as I used to. So I literally just wait for beers to come in Monday through like last Friday through Thursday. And I pick 4 things that I'm like, well, that looks kind of cool, or that looks like a cool idea, or a cool collaboration, or something that's interesting, or something that I personally want to look into a little bit more. So you guys are kind of along for a selfish ride in that regards, where I'm just picking 4 beers that I'm like, let's find out more about that. The Power Tippa, we've actually had that for a couple weeks now, but I've heard some insanely good reviews from people, so I wanted to bring that into the 4-pack because if people love it, then I'm sure you all will love it. But also, like, I'm not usually one to chase an IPA, so if people are into that one, I wanted to see what the hype was about, what the fuss was about. I certainly get it. That's a fun one. But there's I try to keep it. Try to keep it like varieties of styles too. I try to do at least one easy drinking. I try to keep one pastry stout or one like imperial stout, one something hoppy, and then one something like, I don't know, Euro inspired or just kind of wild card beer.
What are we doing a black IPA?
Never.
The first of never.
Sometime after never, and then shortly before not in a million years. Because no one.
Black lager?
And that's actually the second time someone's made a joke about black IPAs. Eric was talking about our Equilibrium that's coming in this week.
Oh, that's funny.
And he's like, I got 35 cases of the black IPA. He's like, only 10 cases of the triple. And I was like, yeah.
That's my guilty pleasure. That is truly my guilty pleasure. Like, I don't like Wits, but I like
You're only doing it to spite me, I swear. You're only doing it because I hate them so much that you're like, no, I like them. They're good.
You know what it was, though? You two can bond over this. Firestone Walker got me onto it with Black Wookie.
Wookie Jack.
Thank you.
Okay, listen. If you're talking Firestone Walker, then all bets are off. I'm sure it's great. That's a great beer.
I will allow the following 3 beers into the black IPA category. Wookie Jack.
Yeah.
Pipeworks Close Encounter.
Yes.
And I don't remember the other one.
Okay. Good.
It wasn't that good. I'll tell you.
What about Dark Horse?
Nope.
Special with the donkey on it?
No.
Oh, I like that one.
What?
The donkey? No, I'll look it
Listen, like I got into things in like 2014, and it was a weird time. It was like, hey, here's 800 IBUs, and we make black IPAs.
I just don't understand why you would want to drink a cup of coffee, and then while you're drinking that cup of coffee, like just sit back and then gurgle the coffee, gurgle the coffee in your mouth, and then have somebody like take a cigarette and then ash it directly into your mouth. And then also, like just drop a shot of espresso in there too. Like I don't understand in what world like
At
such a,
worst, I
such
don't
a
know what
bitter
to say.
bomb works. Like I'd rather have Campari or some kind of other like really really bitter. Good Rise Where Black is, as Tim mentioned,
Oh, right.
is very
Wait. What about Jukebox Hero?
no, fuck that beer. I love
Revolution,
you, Red.
Yeah.
I love you
Yeah,
so
man,
much.
Black IPA,
Jukebox Hero, please don't ever do it again. Good
You
Rise
drink
Where
that shit
Black,
out of
I
the
think,
bomber,
was
man. That
really
blows my
interesting
mind.
because it was rye. I think because of the rye in Good Rise Where Black, I think I'm kind of into that beer.
I do like rye.
The first time I had it, of
And
course,
Go
was
Sox.
an untapped chasing. I'm at a White Sox game. I want to try this beer. It was literally 96 degrees that day at the baseball game, and I ordered a Good Rise Where Black. I got about halfway through that beer. I've never been one to shy away from stouts in the summer and like not drink light lagers in winter. But that was one day where I was like, nope, I am not finishing this. It is good, not doing it.
This dark horse beer I was talking about, turns out they call it a dark ale, but it's called Reserve Special Black Ale. It's got a donkey on it.
Yeah, they don't sell it as black
Like a
IPA because
dark
no
ale.
one likes black IPAs. Schwartz beer, I'm in.
Yeah, dark ale is a real good way to bitch out. I'm calling it. Just
Good night, Jonathan.
call it something else, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
You don't
Wait,
need
what
them.
about that, Ryan? What about that Mikkeller Three Floyds beer? The Flame, Black Flame. What's that one?
Black Flame.
Oh God, no.
We opened up one of those. I
We
mean,
did.
they
We
call
had
that a
one.
stout, but
I
They
bought
call
one.
it a stout. That one.
pretty sure
I thought
just-
that was kind of in that same wheelhouse.
that's War Pigs.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
McKellar plus Three Floyds is War Pigs.
No, you're right. They call that a stout.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I only know because there was one sitting in the basement.
That was mine. I bought that.
Yeah, we drank it.
no question, it's a dying breed for sure.
12%.
Go away. Die.
Yeah.
If we have to extinct some styles, like that's one that can just go away forever. You
It's
don't
funny.
need it.
It's not like I crave them. It's just that like I find them interesting and I don't hate them. So
You can just eat pure
Well,
chocolate.
it's such an unheralded style. It's like I'm always up for trying one, especially in like a flight situation where I'm going to do 4 ounces or less. Because I mean, no one ever makes them. So if I can find one that's kind of tasty, like that's awesome. You know.
I
It's
count on
hard.
you ordering them so I can go back and try one every once in a while and make sure that I don't like it.
that's how I feel about Witbiers. Just be like, yep, this is still that thing that doesn't do much for me.
Oh man, Jonathan Ankney's going to bed. What time is it? Must be late. He's going to bed.
I think I'm going to bed.
Yeah, it's probably time. It's 11:30.
About that time.
30.
We can hit on
That's
an
a good-
angry note
Good
about
solid,
Black
good solid
IPAs.
share.
Nice job, everybody.
Almost done with
Yeah,
Black
I was gonna say once we're into black IPAs, that should be the code word for like.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Got it.
Oh,
Big black
he's
IPAs. They've gone too far.
Cuvée down the hatch for Solomon. Your
Yeah, that was fun. It was really cool. to have
Good.
a
I'm
beer
not
on.
going to do that.
What? There is not a listicle of 21 of the best black IPAs. Stop it. What is this?
I
What
support
is this
it. I
bullshit?
give it a thumbs up.
Stop. No. Oh my God. Just get to the. Oh God, no.
Ryan's getting triggered. Ryan, you need to calm down. Drink a topo. Turn the computer off. You'll be fine.
I'm gonna play with my light box for a while. 21st Amendment makes a
What's theirs called?
Back in Black.
That's boring.
I mean, we're definitely forgetting some. What about
Juke.
Obsidian?
Oh, Greenbush makes Anger. That's pretty. That's
Anger's pretty
Anger.
good.
Yeah,
That's
we had that
pretty
in recently.
What about the Shoots Obsidian?
Obsidian?
Is that a black IPA or a black ale?
Stout.
Wookie Jack, number 9 on the list. That's wrong. It's number 1.
Obsidian's a stout.
It's a stout?
Oh my gosh, Maine makes a beer called Wheeze. It's a black IPA.
Wait, say it again. You got robotic.
Maine-
Say it again.
Maine Wheeze, Weez.
Well, Maine never makes a bad beer, so.
Brew Kettle Black Raja. I think I've had that.
Brew Kettle?
Mm-hmm. Founder's Dark Penance. That was terrible. I hated that.
Oh, wait, is that the one that has like the heavy metal logo on it? Look that one up.
All right, number one on the listicle is Stone Enjoyed by 5416 Black IPA.
They made one of the Enjoy buys out of like 100. One of them is a Black IPA. Come on.
Dark Penance is kind of got like a blue label. Like,
I remember this beer. No, I thought that beer was pretty cool.
Older lady, yeah.
I probably haven't gotten to my founder section of my cellar. So if I find one, it's all yours. One beer done,
Thanks.
Allocated,
Water
delegated,
fresh.
boom.
Yeah, that beer was good.
Delegation counts.
There you go.
But most of these beers you're naming, I mean,
they're out there. Let's be honest.
All right,
Well, boys.
I think that's
That's
it.
about it for me.
Drinking some beers, time for bed.
I'm just craving a black IPA, and I'm not going to get it, so.
Not at my store. You can go to
just pretend like we didn't hear Josh trying to leave.
inferior
We'll just keep
store for
talking.
that.
Oh, okay. Bye. Friend.
Oh, hold on. Wait, a couple real quick here. Just out of the ones that I've had, because, Untapped is useful for that. You can sort it by types of
That's
beer.
what I'm saying, yeah.
Nighttime Ale from Lagunitas,
Oh, the good call.
which is that's a good one. Jukebox Heroes on there. Hill Farmstead James.
Oh, good for you.
I've had the 21st Amendment back in black, but I didn't think it was that great. Let's see. Good Rise Were Black. Down Quark from Empirical.
Okay.
Irritated Koala from Two Brothers.
Oh, that's funny.
Apparently Dark Horse has a Crooked Theratree Black IPA. That's not interesting. Hold on. Burnham's got one. Buckle Down's got Raven's Cloak.
Oh, I like Buckle Down.
Four Hands Alter Ego. Distill Tenebrous. I'm just naming the local ones. There's some Clown Shoes Hoppy Feet. That's not local, but
Clown Shoes, man. What happened to them?
what happened to Clown Shoes? The Brew Kettle Black Raja. Is that one of the ones you named, Ryan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that one. I that's the highest rating I've given to any Cascadian dark ale. I give it a 4.25. That's pretty high. So apparently I like that one. Back in June of 2015.
Hey, old school.
Probably drank a secret chord.
Probably. Yeah, so a lot of local ones. I don't know, Deschutes Hop in the Dark, but not a common style. I've had like 23 of them out of whatever 10,000. You know what I mean? It's like hardly ever. They don't make them.
You know why they don't do them?
Because nobody likes them.
Because they're terrible.
Oh,
Thank you.
terrible. Touche.
Well played.
But that doesn't that as a brewer, don't you want the challenge? Like as a brewer, it's like, well, I'm gonna try to make one.
No. As a brewer, you're probably like, oh, I want to build something a little bit more like balanced and interesting, not just how much can I just build an entire thing with black patent malt and just rip people's bitterness tolerances off the face of the planet.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I'm glad we had this talk.
So, black IPAs. I still hate you.
Until next week when we do 4 black IPAs.
Never.
We'll be featuring two guests.
Wookie Jack comes back, I will.
Ryan will be gone.
Yeah, right.
If Wookie Jack comes back, maybe I'll allow that.
Jack, what's up?
Someday. I'm dreaming big here.
Yeah. All right, dudes. Good share, good tasting. I'll see you later. Thanks
Very
for
fun.
watching, everybody. That was fun.
Thanks for hanging out.
All right. Good night, y'all. We'll see you
Bye.
next week.
Dream of sweet black IPAs.
Or something else better. Drink of terrible old white wines.
Hot, buttery.
Hot, buttery white wines.
No.
Enjoy that as you fall asleep tonight.